Hello, welcome to Baelnorn and Friends. Today we have Cradius, which is over there. Requiem is going to try and show up, but they're having audio issues. So we'll just continue without them for a little while and see how we go. Um, Tonight I'm drinking some leftover beers, a Pilsner. I cannot pronounce that name because it has a weird F in it. Friem or something. I'm not sure. It has a bear. It looks like it's German, but I think it's Northwest. But yeah, it's all right. I got four of them. That'll last me through the night. So, how's your Amtgard life been, Cradius?
It's been fun. I've been mostly just focusing on having fun more than anything. Oh, sweet. Um,
Good timing.
yeah, but I've also been trying to focus a little bit more on getting better at fighting because I'm still not content with where I'm at. So
Well, that's
been
good.
working on that a little bit, just not as much as I probably should.
I've
Test,
been working on
test.
it. Oh, you hear you?
All right. So the secret was to go back to the headset that got ran over and is being held together by more than my sanity. I'll just
Oh,
put it that
okay.
way.
If there's anyone listening, right now, if the volume levels are weird, I didn't get to do a check because Asa is having those problems. So, let us know, and I will fix it midstream. And yeah, so Chris was just telling us about what they've been up to and that they've been trying to get better at fighting. Although I don't know exactly what that entails. That was my next question. What have you been doing to improve yourself?
I've been focusing more on like anything that's not sword and shield for a little bit. Like I still pick
Hmm.
it up when I want to have fun, but like I've been trying to learn flow a lot more, and I've been pushing on like trying to figure out how to do that because I feel like it's a little bit harder to learn flow because like there's obvious like defend with one, attack with the other type of thing, but it's so much more complicated than just that. So I've been slowly learning how to work with that, and I think I'm getting a little bit better, but still want to work some more on it. And then eventually, I want to try and start working on great weapons because I have just neglected that completely up
Yeah,
until this point.
Hey,
they're
that's
fun.
something I could help you with.
Sweet,
I
I need
love
it.
fighting with great.
My
Oh,
biggest issue with great is I feel like I'm gonna hurt someone, especially like in the knees or something. So like, and with like shoulder shots because I'm afraid I'm just gonna dome someone hard.
You will. You absolutely 100% will. Um, but that's also part of the practice is getting to know those angles. It's just like familiarity with anything else, like poles and flails are the I'm aiming for your shoulder, but I'm gonna hit you in the face. And yeah, just be careful of people's kneecaps and stuff like that. But yeah, we
yeah.
could work on some pole stuff.
Got to plug myself for a minute, but I also got some classes online. I don't know if you checked them out from SKBC. There is Xander and DeVry's polearm class, but a special note is the Peter the Quick's two stick class. I thought it
Hmm.
was a really interesting take on how to do two sword that I was not taught when I was starting out. So if you haven't checked those out yet, or if anyone watching hasn't checked them out yet, go ahead and find them in the YouTube channel.
I've looked a little bit on Peters. I haven't finished it yet. I want to, I just haven't got around to it. The pole one though, I wasn't gonna start until I actually started working on pole stuff because I my memory's so bad I probably wouldn't remember. So
That's fair. Something of interest before you actually get your pole arm is they talk about what pole arm best fits you. Um, so you might, if you're interested in hearing what they have to say about it, I think I have chapters, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. But that might be
okay,
of interest before you pick up a pole arm.
yeah, I'll definitely check that out because that's something I really haven't figured out. I know I like not super long poles, but also like not so short that people can just smack me without
Yeah,
any effort.
Hmm.
like the
um,
size that Vaughn uses, I think I prefer one about a foot taller than that because Vaughn usually is one about 6 feet ish. I think
yeah,
it's
that
a
sounds about right.
kind of short for me. or at least for
So
what I've used.
from what I've seen and from my experience, the range, like the shortest you want to go, is one hand length above your head, and then generally about that sweet spot is you put your hand straight up and you want to be able to touch the tip, and so that way it's just like when you're trying to throw short sword shots with a long sword, it doesn't quite work. You know, if you have got that little bit over, it's going to start throwing off your fulcrum and, you know, all that type of stuff. So that's generally what I recommend, is between as high as you can reach, one, you know, without like, you know, jumping or whatever, to about finger height above your head.
Okay.
All right, so I just breaking the conversation. Sorry, but I was just checking with the audio, and I changed it a little bit. So I was wondering if the Hueys have another opinion now that I've tweaked a little bit.
That's my wife.
Minerva the money.
Yeah. The one and
Hells
only.
yeah. All right. So yeah, pole arms are pretty cool. I used to use a pole arm a lot too back in the day, but it's a lot of work. You use your whole body more than other styles that I personally used. I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that because you have such like a weird angle of defense. There's not much room for error in that, so you have to move like your whole body in order to compensate for that.
Well, it
I
also depends on if you're doing a line fighting or if you're doing a tournament fighting, because those are two totally different approaches to pole fighting.
They are.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I kind of liked uh, pole fighting for me is like I always like tell people to treat it like a pool cue. It's very simplistic, um, kind of way to think about it, but kind of like how you shoot a pool cue is kind of how I put out a stab. Does that make sense? I don't know if you
Hmm.
shot pool, but yeah. Um, some people don't think about doing that, and it really limits their range.
Hmm.
I need to make a poll. I mean, I have one, but I'm not sure if I.
What core are you using?
The one I have, well, I have two. I have one that Vaughn gave me, which I'm not sure what it is, but it's the stuff he uses for pretty much every poll now that's not band shop or whatever.
Hmm.
And then the other one I think is bamboo, I want to say.
Right.
Yeah,
So you've got a V7 pole and then a V8 pole.
pretty much, yeah. Even though I never played V7.
Well, um,
If you're lucky and you get a good piece of bamboo, it can last for years. On the
hmm
flip side, if you get a bad piece, it can break in a couple weeks.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I've had both. I prefer the one that lasts longer.
I've got a couple of 8-foot cuts of band shop, and then I have a bamboo core that lasted since I was in Mithril Hills. Um,
That's a while.
and yeah, well, we took a trough and filled it with linseed oil and soaked it in it for like 7 days or something like that. So,
Wow.
so yeah, it's solid. It's not going anywhere. But it's got that rigidity of like the band shop, um, but it's light. Um, but yeah, Vaughn, he's got some new cores that are thicker than what you use for the swords and stuff like that. Um, yeah, his speed poles are they're pretty light.
I like the one he gave me, like lengthwise. It's just a little too like whippy for me. Like
Hmm.
it's not super whippy at all. It's just the fact that like when I try to throw certain shots, it kind of curves a little bit, which I need like actual precision when I throw things, or otherwise it just doesn't work out.
Have you is it just straight core, or is it like courtesy wrapped all the way down, or?
It's not all the way down, but it's I want to say it's like 1/3 like strike, and then a little bit of courtesy after that.
One thing that we did to stiffen them up is you take the ribbed like fiberglass tape for packing, and you do a spiral wrap of that down the shaft. It doesn't add very much weight, but it does give it that little bit of reinforcement and stiffens it up just a little bit. It's worth a
Okay,
shot.
yeah, I'll try that out because I do like that pole. It's just not feel wise and like
Hmm.
mechanic wise not helpful for me.
Well, you got to be able to adjust your equipment to fit your needs. It's not going to do any good in the corner.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about honestly trying to stiffen it though. I just like I don't know. It never occurred to me to try that.
Well, we
No,
used to
it's
have to do that on our bamboo poles
hmm
because people would worry about splinters. So yeah, that makes sense. And you never really experienced that, so I guess probably why you didn't think about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing scarier than breaking your bamboo pole and it's spraying out like a old broom through the foam. That's yeah, that was scary back in the day.
Yep.
I'm glad we moved away from some of that stuff, but I mean
Yeah.
graphite splinters are just as bad. Carbon fiber.
Yeah. Luckily, the fail rate is a little lower.
Yeah. Yeah, as much crap as, everything gets with getting lighter and lighter and lighter. We don't have nearly as many swords around here, at least in this kingdom, breaking like we used to. I mean, then again, I also remember the Schedule 40 short sword days.
Oh,
So
the PVC.
PVC
Yeah.
pipe, fun noodle, you cut a couple inches off, you cut that in half, throw one on the top, one on the bottom, boom, you have a sword. You could gear an entire park for $10.
Yeah, that's wild.
Oh, I'm so glad we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, it's better days.
Well, I mean, I wish we were still gearing an entire park for $10,
Not yeah.
but yeah, swords are actually able to live.
Torg said he was going to make me a pole arm at one point because he's like, I want to see you use a pole arm again, Baelnorn, but it hasn't materialized. I'm sad.
So, are you more of a speed pole type dude, or are you a war pole type dude?
Um, if I'm in tourneys, it's definitely probably speed pole because I just
Mhm.
don't see much of a use of having a war pole in there. I'm not the type of fighter that likes to overpower. I'd rather just be quick.
Mhm.
For like battle games and stuff though, probably war pole just because like it has more benefits to it.
Right.
When you were
Okay.
really playing heavy monk back in the day, well, back in the day, a couple years ago, um, did you ever pick up a pole arm much? Because I think you did a lot of two sword, but
I mainly did two sword, but then I got a bunch of people telling me that I wasn't gonna hit Paragon unless I did pole. So like for I don't know, maybe three-ish months, maybe a little more, I did pole work and I was I had some fun with it, but I was not as effective when I was using two swords. So I'm like, okay, I'm either gonna do this my way and get it, or if I don't get it, oh well, like at least I'm doing what I feel like I should.
Mhm.
yeah, it worked out.
Yeah,
You got it.
yeah, it did. The one time I did have like a lot of fun with it was I believe it was a pack war we were at, and it was like two ships, and you had to like board the enemy ship and kill their captain or something like that. And
Wasn't that the one where we actually had the pirate ship?
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
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 Um, but I had a poll for that one, and someone gave me Greater Undead Minion and then attuned me with Imbue Weapon.
Mhm.
It was one of the most fun games I've ever played. You just walk around smacking people in legs, and they're just dying left and right. And then if I get killed, I just go insubstantial and go back to my healer. I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, that sounds pretty wild. So when do you think you're going to take up with that poll?
Probably here soon. I'm getting sort of content with my flow. I mean, I'm always gonna want to improve it, but like at least to the point to where I can feel I can calm down a little bit with it. Um, so probably here soon. I just need to get like a pole I really like to use.
That's important.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you earlier, but your two stick. What have you been doing outside of Amtgard, if anything, to improve on it? You said you want to work on it some more. I don't know, maybe if you have some ideas that you haven't been doing, maybe.
I've been pelling with it a little bit and like figuring out how to make usage of like being more threatening because I have two things to kill the person with. So like I should threaten with one if I'm not actually going to do anything with it. And I've been just kind of like pelling moves that feel natural to like throw and also like return to where I need to, or moves where I can get some sort of opening with one and then capitalize on it with the other type of thing. And then I, me personally, I like to come up with really stupid moves or just like steal stupid things I see from like videos I watch every now and then. There's this one where it's like a stab, and it's just you just stab with one forward while throwing the other one like back here, so it blocks your like back at an
Mhm.
angle.
I
And
know that
I don't
move.
know,
I know
I don't
exactly what you're
know,
talking about.
I don't know why it works, but dude, it works so well.
It works because their default reaction is to go towards the largest opening, which would be your back, because you're bending forward and you're stabbing. So when you throw, you're covering that. It's called an anvil. You're doing an anvil across your shoulder. And so when it's boop, and you've already blocked the return. It's one of my bread and butter shots at my park. So as soon as I describe, I'm like, oh, you mean this pink?
I've started throwing it a lot because I just have so much fun with it. Because like I won't hit it all the time, but like most of the time I live anyway, so it's just like, all right, cool, just
Hmm.
if nothing bad happens.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, I did that, and then I've definitely been working on like hand speed because I think that's super important, especially because like your offhand isn't gonna be as good as your dominant hand, so like that needs a little more work with pretty much everything. So I've been trying to like when I actually like fight people, I've been trying to kill more with my left hand instead of my right, just to get in the habit of that.
That was going to
Have
be my
you?
next question. Have you worked on ambidexterity or not? So
A little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit.
I was actually about to ask a similar thing. Have you ever done quickness drills with your left?
Um, I think I've done block strike, not anytime recently, but I've done it before with my left hand, and it probably wasn't as helpful then as it would be now, just because like I know a little bit more now and
Hmm.
understand a little bit better. I haven't done it recently though.
The the quickness drills is I was doing this when we were doing like, kind of like a boot camp type thing. And where you've got your offhand weapon, and then there's a bag, and someone behind you is going to make a slap sound, and you have to wait till the slap sound to throw the shot, and then between you and the person next to you, whichever one gets it first wins that round. Because like the speed, being able to get there is one thing, but then that opening needs to be there, and that's where the quickness comes in.
Hmm.
Some people can have the speed, but if they don't have the quickness to recognize, oh, this is my shot, I need to shoot my shot, or that, kind of like what you're talking about with block strike, it's very similar where you get the impact of that block and then you throw your strike. Um, so that's something that I found helps
Okay.
with getting that offhand, uh, almost to like a muscle memory type thing.
Mhm.
Um, so you want to get it, like most people when they're doing flow. Like flow is one of the ones that I really enjoy, because most people don't enjoy it because they're so focused on what one is doing or what the other is doing, um, versus getting one to where it's almost autopilot. If you don't have to think about what yours are doing, cool. All you have to do is think about what theirs are doing, and yours already know what they want to do.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, actually.
Well, it's like the combat computer. That's the way we used to break it down a lot. Is like when new players are coming in and like you get a flurry of blows on them and you kind of see them like stunned for a little bit. They're like, did I die to this one or to this one? Or the look. You
Yeah.
know, Uh, a lot of people with flow, especially like watching tournaments, it's just that back and forth because they're focused about what you're doing, what they're doing, not just their main hand, but they're also thinking about their offhand, and it's a beautiful concoction for chaos. Um, but the combat computer generally doesn't keep up because that's too many processes of trying to differentiate between left side, right side, what you're feeling, listening to audio cues. If they're distracted by anything else, they're probably in their own head, so on and so forth. Tournament day type stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's something that I have found with that is doing those types of drills, so that way it gives your combat computer one less thing to think about, and then it kind of tightens everything else up. But yeah,
So what have you been up to, Requiem?
work.
Well,
A
how
lot
about
of
Amtgard?
work.
Have
Um,
you been able to do any Amtgard because of all your work?
Sort of. So I have been working on a project. Um, so in during my reign as Duke of Obsidian Grove, I did a recruit a friend program similar to like all these mobile games and stuff like that, where if you bring a friend out and they get to level 2, you get a credit. um, and you get points for each month, and then the person with the most amount of points wins a prize. And it was a custom title, uh, a custom non-noble title, as well as a level 6 class setup for a class of their choice. Um, so I had one new player who um, just saw us while he was out walking, and he absolutely fell in love with this game. He's like, "Wait, yeah, this is something I'm going to invite people to." He brought out 16 new players,
Whoa.
Wow.
and he's there. I mean, the people that he brought in are currently monarchy and stuff like that. Like he's been a facilitator of things, and he's been really enjoying assassin and a couple of other things, but the problem with a lot of the martial classes is that they are balanced around using armor. And armor is one of those things where I know people 10, 15, 20 years into the game that still don't have armor.
Yeah.
And so instead of giving him a level 6 setup, I made him a custom suit of leather armor. I've got 3 pieces left. I've just got the bracers to finish up, and then the battle skirt. Um, I'm actually a little upset because when I was reading through the rules, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be great because this is going to max out everything but paladin, anti-paladin, warrior. Yeah. Well, no. So the base layers that I'm using are 16 ounce to 18 ounce leather. So quarter-inch thick. So each one of those pieces qualifies for 3-point minimum just by itself. Um, Yeah, it's a whole suit of that. So it's been hard on my hands,
Mm.
but got it fitted, got it tested, is doing really good. Should be making its premiere at a Dragon's Forge this weekend. Um, as long as I can actually finish up what I'm trying to do with it. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Is I've been as far as personal projects, I've been crafting, and then I've been working out and losing weight, so that way I can safely get back into the tournament scene.
Yeah,
Um,
you've lost a good amount of weight. I've been watching the local health fitness Amtgard group and doing pretty good.
mhm. Yep. As of yesterday, 53 pounds.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
nothing to laugh at.
So it's been nice, like not being able to, or being able to fight without depending on my brace. I mean, I'm always in pain, but it's a different pain. And now I'm running into different problems. Like the few pieces of garb that I have for my lower half don't fit anymore. So it's so I have devolved back down to sweats. Um and but the plus side is like I found a old tunic that I haven't been able to fit into for I don't know, 3 years, 4 years or something like that. And I slipped that thing on and it had some room and I'm just like, oh, this is a whole bunch of avenues have opened up for me. But yeah, I'm a lot like Crit where I'm confident in some of my fighting abilities, but then I also see the room for improvement. And so it's always that push, you know.
Oh yeah, Lost John is just saying that you always got to be ready because you never know when you have to sword fight throughout your whole life. You have to
Mm,
agree. You never know. Dark alleys and all that, which is kind of
always
fun. I
be
just
ready.
watched Highlander before it started, or before we started, because well, it's Highlander. So, but just drinking
Stay
water tonight,
hydrated.
Requiem.
So what now?
You just drinking water tonight.
Yes, I actually just finished with a sparkling ice caffeine, not sponsored. Um, so I've completely cut out soda, carbonated drinks. This is just, carbonated water with a little bit of flavoring. It's got 5 calories in it.
Yeah,
Um, it
hardly
it
counts.
because oh man, this is gonna get into some deep shit. Uh, so food was like my coping mechanism and my addiction. It was my feel good. Like everything around me is going to crap, but this tastes really good. 100 pounds later, it still tastes good. Like so, I've been saying, "Hey, look, yeah, it still tastes good, but that's kind of the problem. It's because you get along with food a little bit too well. I'm going to separate you for a little while." And so I've been uh, I've noticed just how dehydrated I am during the day, especially while I'm at work and it's, you know, not Pacific Northwest degrees outside. So I'm trying to keep up on my water intake and the alcohol and all that stuff. It I don't know, is a distraction for me right now. Like I've got my goals, I've got my ambitions, and I'm not gonna let me get in my way. Because I've been doing that for years and I didn't like where I ended up, so I'm gonna go see how the other side is and make the grass greener where I am, you know? So starts by saying no to the cravings and yes to the water.
Yeah, it's going to be a long journey. Sounds like you've started out pretty well.
Mm-hmm. I'm about halfway there.
Yeah, I started a new diabetes medication, Ozempic, which is apparently also supposed to be a big weight loss drug. And this whole week, I've been queasy if I eat a little bit too much. I've like eaten about half the amount of food I normally eat. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the way I'd want to lose weight, but I'll get used to it probably. But something I've noticed this week. So maybe I'll be losing some weight here soon.
Yeah. I've got a blood disease called hypertriglyceridemia, which is a fancy way of saying I could eat a salad and my body will turn it to sugar. So if I eat stuff with sugar, it gets real bad. Um, and so there's a medical diet type thing that I've been doing that is nothing as far as calories goes, but it has all the vitamins, nutrients, minerals, all that type of stuff. Um, and so, and I know it sounds really bad, and I know it is really like comparatively, but for somebody who doesn't process food the way that normal people does, because I'm at between 11 and 1300 calories for my daily intake. And that sounds really bad, but I'm also using my fat for a lot of that fuel during the day as well. It basically puts you into a like a modified ketosis almost. Um, but it's pure like the proteins, nutrients is basically astronaut food, and it doesn't give my body anything to play around with and turn into sugars and stuff like that. And so, since my body hasn't had all that excess, I've been able to shed the weight like crazy, and I'm not as hungry as I was when I was eating regular food, and I have more energy. My pain has gone down. My blood pressure has gone down. I'm not nearly as angry. Well, I mean, I'm still angry with people. People are stupid, but I'm not nearly as angry. um, and I think it's also been really good for my mental health as well. Between that and cold showers, and yeah, it's been good.
That's good. Sounds like a really it, not interesting. Sounds like a very oh my god, words. I don't have any right now. A long journey that you're about
Mhm.
halfway done with. Well, it's going to
Yeah,
be a lifetime, but
yeah, it's lifetime changes, but it's making things habits.
yeah,
And I've been hitting fighters practice as often as I can. Um, so 1, 2 times a week. Um, then hitting Amtgard on the weekends. I've been taking dumbbells and stuff to work, so that way I can work out at work on my breaks. On my lunch, I go for a walk. Um, just being more active, and I'm gonna go get my back messed around with. I'm doing all the healthy stuff, and I don't know how I feel about it. But
well, it's good that you're making those changes. I mean, you're still pretty young. You got a whole life
yeah,
ahead of you.
well, a buddy of mine asked me like, if your friend was going through the stuff that you're doing, going through and stuff like that, what would you do for them? It's like, okay, why aren't you willing to do that for yourself? Why aren't you willing to take care of you like you would your best friend? So if your best friend was going through what you're going through right now, and what you would do for them is different than what you're gonna do for yourself, then make that check. And so I put myself in that position. I'm like, if my best friend was dealing with all these issues, I would be lighting his fire under his butt. I would be kicking it. I would be showing up at his house at 4 o'clock in the morning. Get in, we're going to the gym. Like, because yeah, that happened, and so if it's good enough for somebody else, it's good enough for me. And so I want to be that. I want to fight again. I want to not have to reef because I'm not capable of moving. I want to reef because it's what I want to do, not because it's the only thing I can do. I want to fight again. The doctors told me I'd never run without a brace again. And so oh, really? Well, here I am fighting without a brace, and I still got a long way to go and I feel better. Like, this feels better than sitting down and eating, what I used to. And so, cheers. Here's for Health is Wealth 2023.
Hells yeah. I didn't have any water to cheers you. Oh well. I didn't bring any water. I should have. I always forget. Because, one, you don't have the hydrate command, so I don't think about it. Because we're not on Twitch, so I don't
I
have to
will
worry
send
about
you
it.
one on Twitch right now. You'll get it when you log in next time.
Yes, I will. Oh, when I have to take a break, I'll pick up some water, I think.
All right, sounds good.
It's warm. Not hot,
Yeah.
but warm.
It's not San Antonio in July, but it's also not Pacific Northwest temperatures.
Yeah. Are you going to be able to make it to the Kaylee on Saturday?
Board of directors meeting, so yes, I will need to be there.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, so I will be there on Saturday, and then I will be going to Dragon's Forge on Sunday.
Wow, a double weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, it's fun. Business, then fun. So Saturday is going to be we're handling business, be there for whatever the kingdom needs from me. And then Sunday is, okay, now I get to go hit my friends.
Credit, you going to be able to make it to the Kaylee?
I should be up there Saturday. My daughter's birthday is Sunday though, so I'll be home Sunday.
No, yeah. That's a really good reason to be home.
Yeah, I haven't actually. So I used to go like every weekend. I'd go both days, but I think it's been like over a month since I've been able to do that, just because stuff keeps like lining up on one day or the other. I
Yeah.
miss it.
And I would come. I in the last year or two, I've gotten a better, since the pandemic, I guess, a better Amtgard life balance for me. So I try not to go out every day of the weekend. Sometimes I'll go to Dust Call because I know Dar's going to hang out or you're going to hang out, so I hang out with my friends. But really, I pick one day where I do my Amtgarding, and then because I wanted to try and do something else. It used to be Amtgard everything. That was a little bit too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like figure out what works for you.
Yeah. But I am excited. I don't think Requiem is probably going to be able to go. But maybe he is. Western War is next weekend.
The
So,
Bell event.
yeah, it's just going to be at the Forge Center. So it's like 20 minutes from my house. So got to go.
Mm-hmm. I would like to. I haven't swung Bell in 8 years. 8, 9 years.
It's a while.
The last time I swung Bell Dag was down in Dagod-Goroth. I was part of the Army of Mordor. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's a different style. there's a lot less magic. There's none.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about people pointing and yelling and all that stuff. So that part I like. Um, it's ditch in its purest form. And another thing that I enjoy about it is when you strike someone, they dictate whether or not it's a valid hit. So that way there's not this, the three Spider-Men pointing at each other, type situation that you get sometimes with these lightsaber tag LARPs. When you get whomped, it's, you can tell more often than not. And I like the other thing is, you got your two-handed red. A javelin starts hurling towards you. You catch it. You can flip it around and toss it back to him, and like it's fun. It's fun. And the nightlife parties are also crazy.
They are. The last time I went was Western Wars 2019, I think. It was actually at the Silver Falls camp. Nick Cormac ended up like dislocating his shoulder that event. I think Kratos was there for one day, but I don't think he was there for the Nick having to go to the hospital.
Yeah, I don't think I was there that time, but I was there for a day and I had a lot of fun.
Was that your first and last experience?
Yes, actually. Yeah.
Well,
Except for like Cameron ran a Bell fighter practice like once, sometime around that time, and I went to that, but I mean it didn't feel much different. I guess I don't know. It was kind of weird. Like it was a lot of fun, but like everything felt the exact same as just a normal fighter practice to me, and it's probably because like the people I was fighting are people I fight in Amtgard, so it's like didn't feel any different. I did try and kick a shield and got hit in the nuts, so never did that again. Because it was
kicking
like
the shield is
as soon as I like lifted my leg and my foot touched the shield, like the nothing but sword just uppercutted me right there, and I'm like, yep, never again.
I remember the first time I got grappled. I was using a pole arm, and I was used to Amtgard fighting, so I went for the hip. He blocked it with his sword, grabbed it, pulled me in. I'm just along for the ride. I'm like, no, this is my pole. You don't have it. Boom! I am on the ground.
Damn.
And then he's pulling out this dagger from his boot and stabbing me in the ribs with it. I'm just like, this is a whole different level of game.
That's wild.
I think the only thing I dislike about it is the whole magic switch thing. But when you fight over in Bell, they can generally tell if you come from Amtgard or something like that, because you're a pretty good single blue fighter. It's just our single stick. They don't fight so much single stick over there, from what I've seen. And so, since we fight single stick a lot, that's the one arena that I've found that Amtgarders do well. After that, like, their two-handed weapon hitting you is a whole lot different than our two-handed weapons hitting you. That's for sure.
I'll have to keep a lookout, see what the meta is. It's probably still red sword, but yeah. I want to be there mostly recording and hanging out with friends, so I'll have a chance to peek around.
Yeah, I will see if that's something that I can do. I've got a lot on my plate as far as personal projects and stuff, and then I'm trying to do art while also trying to get my health in there, while also trying to have some form of social life with my people, while also trying to fit sleep in there somewhere.
Sleep? What?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's a lot.
Well, between that and then 50-hour weeks at work, it's like,
Yeah,
nah.
that's a lot.
We
I
sleep
couldn't
on the
handle
weekends. Oh wait, Amtgard 2 days? Now we can sleep next week.
it. So, is
But
there anything that you're looking forward to at Western Wars, Critias?
I think I'm just looking forward to fighting different people because that's always fun, and I feel like that more so tests how my fighting is. I think because it's like I have no idea what this person does, how they fight, anything like that. It's just pure fundamentals and like instinct at that point. Whereas
hmm
like people I fight all the time, everyone, regardless who you are, has some sort of pattern and like certain things that you can like tell if you fight them enough.
hmm
Even if it's like a subconscious thing, you just like know, like, okay, this person does this sometimes. Um, so I think it'll be a good way to test like where just my fighting skill, like at its whole, is at, I guess.
hmm
Yeah, makes sense. It's a good reason to go. Test your
Yeah,
metal.
yeah,
Maybe I can get you some one-on-one fights on the video so you can like look back on it. Because plan on trying to get a lot of Bill fighters one-on-one fights. I don't know if I'll be able to or not, but it's a goal.
yeah. I'd be down for that.
This is the West Coast version of Ragnarok, isn't it?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that. Um, it's actually a pretty small event compared to like Chaos Wars or the Battle of the Ring.
Okay.
I think Battle of the Ring might in Chaos Wars might be more similar to Ragnarok. This is more of a party hangout, open seasoner, kind of like chill with your friends kind of environment. They don't do any tournaments. They plan some games here and there, but it's more like just people having fun.
Okay. Because like if you can, I don't know if they still do it per se, but the gauntlets and the trials for like getting into fighting companies and stuff like that. Oh, those are brutal, man. Check those
Yeah,
out sometime.
I don't know if they're gonna have one this time, but they're offering time slots for people that want to organize them. So there might
Mhm.
be a couple. Brian can see that, or creators can check those out. Are you planning to come in 1 day or 2 days?
Probably two. Just kind of depends. Because I
Hmm.
think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I think is what the
Yeah.
schedule said. Uh, so I'm not entirely sure yet. I know for sure I'll be there at least one full day, and I'm probably gonna be there another day. I just working a few things out.
Hmm. Sounds like there's a decent amount of us trying to head out there. I know Sploo was talking about it, and some of the legacy guys were talking about coming out 1 day too.
Yeah,
Maybe even getting Dan out or Shaden out there, but it's Dagon made that sound like it was less likely.
Mhm.
No, I like people going to. I like encouraging cross streaming, cross gaming because it makes the groups stronger. I think.
The big precursor is making sure that everyone agrees on the rule set beforehand.
Yeah.
You got a lot less hurt feelings if you understand, like, oh, I'm going to be swinging this way on you. This is how I'm expecting you to swing on me. When you go into their game and you've got that understanding, like we were talking about how like two-handers over there is different than two-handers over here, then oh, okay, now I get you. It's that whole shell shock of surprise, like when you cross game for the first time. It's like, what is this?
Yeah.
I got hit 15 minutes ago. I still feel it.
That was the one downside. The last time I was in the doing their big battles, which was before 2019, but I got hit with a rock and from close range at a full throw in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectly legal. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I felt dizzy and disoriented for like a couple hours after that. I had to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit more weary of battles where there's rocks,
Mm-hmm.
just for my own health.
Man, I miss my sword. My sword was the core was a hockey stick.
Oh no.
But yeah, it was fun. Have you guys ever been to like a LARPy LARP?
I have not actually.
What about you,
I
Crit?
I don't think so. And the more I think about it, I think I've only actually been to Amtgard and that one time for Bell. I don't think I've been anywhere else. Oh no, I take that back. Uh, there was, gosh, it was pretty early on, so I don't have like much memory of like what it was called or anything like that. But it was, I want to say it was the only Rosewood I went to. They like joined up with some
All's
Nerf
fair.
group.
Oh yeah, the pirates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all's
That was
fair.
all's fair.
So I don't know if you count that. I don't
Not
remember
really.
much of it.
I would count Rosewood as the role play event because it was supposed to be centric to everything. So yeah, I would consider that more on the role play slider of our LARP.
For Amtgard, but I mean, compared to like what you're saying, a LARPy LARP, like Alliance or Nero or
Mm-hmm.
um, Rosewood isn't LARPy compared to them. Even
No.
Shattered Kingdoms isn't LARPy compared to them.
Yeah. No.
Um,
No.
so that's what I thought you were talking about. So,
That's what I was meaning.
oh,
Like
okay.
I really get into role play. I
Hmm.
enjoy the heck out of it. Yo, what's up, Annex? Um,
Hey,
but
Annex.
it's difficult when kind of like what we're talking about, like everyone agreeing to the same rule set and stuff like that. Like when everyone is doing the role play thing, it's so easy to just get immersed and lose yourself in that world. It sounds cliche, but then we're also out there hitting each other with foam sticks, wearing dresses. Like it's fine, Like my role play is not like sticking some weird accent and my mannerisms are all different. I'm role playing somebody who doesn't have trouble walking up and speaking to somebody. What would they do? How would they approach this? I'm gonna go try it. And but being the character and stuff like that, but with the combat, I think that's part of the reason why V7 nostalgia and then V8 quests hit so hard for me. I enjoyed it.
Nate James says, I feel like our game has lost its origin when it comes to roleplay, and I don't like that. That's why I did Battle Games of the Wild. That's why I did the Night Quest at Pack War. I'll always push RP because the game is just sick tag without it.
Mm. Which I mean, there's a place for the combat sport. It's a martial art. It is a combat sport. Um, and then I also feel that there's a space for the having the nobility mean something, having the belts mean something, having you being from this holding mean something. Can you tell me the history of your holding? Can you tell me what was one of the major factors that shaped that land that maybe gave it its name or something like that? Because can you tell me about your hometown? It's
I can tell
kind
you
of
about
that
Sylvan
same.
Finn, but not Silver Moon. But yeah, I get you.
So even if it's just carving out that little piece and owning it, like crit. Maybe you're not into the role play as much, but that could also be a part of your role play. Is um like when I first brought my monk down to Blackspire, I was terrified of talking to other people And so I played Trinity, the silent monk, and he was having trouble learning the language of the people here. And so that's how I got out of not talking to people and kind of doing sign language and stuff like that to him, was because I was playing it off like he's not native to speaking, around here, and so trying to communicate in different ways. But he was here for the fighting. He definitely knew about that, you know. Um, just I don't know, taking it and kind of making it your own. Where
That's super creative. I've never thought about something like that.
Yeah. Well, he something new to think about.
Yeah.
Personally, I felt when I was younger, I'd roleplay in Amtgard a little bit more, but that was more of a I'm in high school, not giving a crap what's going on. But then I kind of like got a little like it feels a little nerdy, and so I wouldn't necessarily play it, mock it, but I would kind of like satire it in my own mind. I'm doing something that's satire, but I really enjoy creating circumstances for people to really get into the role play and have the environment to feel comfortable doing it more than I like doing it myself. So yeah, kind of like what Nate James says, trying to bring the role play or bring role play into the sphere of Amtgard, make it possible.
Here's an easy way of doing it. Night of the battle. When was the last time you role played to death?
Actually, it was 2 weeks ago. Dude, I got owned so hard. I'm just like, yep, I'm just falling down right here. Because I
That.
threw a throwy. Calzar smacked it out of the air into my teammate, killed him, and then I got shot with an arrow as all that was happening. Like it
Oh
was the
shit.
most I have ever been owned in this game. And I just like took the arrow and like, yep, I'm just gonna fall back. I just
That's
fell back and
awesome.
died.
I've found that for introductions into role play, make your death cinematic, because it also means something to the person that you're fighting.
Yeah.
Like if you guys are engaging in an epic duel, like, not gonna lie, if you and I are fighting and some miracle I get the killing shot on you and you just, oh, yeah, I'm gonna be giddy as all hell. I'm gonna be like, look at what I did, and helping you up and all that. Like, that is the type of camaraderie and stuff where, like, hey, we got time to be serious and all that type of stuff. That's what tournaments are for. Battle games and stuff like that, you can still be a badass in your class. You can still be everything that we enjoy doing. But you also can be a little flirby, and it's okay. Because she's over there with her pixie wings on, and she is owning that. You're telling me that you're playing a barbarian and you can't give me some epic fight after death dramatic fall at the end? Like, I mean, safely, obviously, if within your bounds and stuff, but like, I was having fun playing anti-paladin where I went up, snuck somebody, hit him, and stay down. There's just different ways of being. There's different ways of being.
Maybe I'll try and do that some more. Because I definitely did have fun just like falling to the ground that one time. It was something so small, but I don't know, it was fun.
I think that's one of the hidden things of Night of Battle is you are the role model for battle games. And some of those people in the battle games, they be flirbin'. There's no shame in being like, hey, this is how you do it. That's not how you die. This is how you die. Like, what does it hurt? What does it hurt? And if it means something to one new player, if it means something to one veteran, if it brings that spark back just one time, it's worth it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what I would do if I was me. That's
Well, I look forward to seeing your roleplay growth over the coming years, Critias.
I'll do my best.
Oh,
I've started. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
No.
your story.
free Spider-Mans.
I've been these past quests I've been in. I've been purposely like doing just random roleplay stuff because like I don't have that much fun with quests when I'm in them usually as like an NPC. I don't know why. It's just not something I
Oh, as a
enjoy.
PC?
Uh, no, as an NPC because I feel like I'm just standing there for like half the time,
Oh, gotcha.
and I have like attention problems, so I'll just be standing there and then I'll get sidetracked and wander and get bored type of thing. But I was a bandit this last time and uh, like the quest at OG that just happened. I don't remember when it was, but Calzar and I were just bandits, just random bandits that had this one area that we stuck to. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be kind of boring, you know, because it's not a super big area. We're all the way like packed in this corner. Maybe we'll get some people, maybe we won't. We're not even important to the whole thing.
Oh,
Did
did he freeze?
Crit freeze? I think Crit froze.
Oh no!
Mid-story.
Are we
Oh,
good?
there he is.
There
All
you're
right,
back.
cool.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
back.
All right, where did I leave off at?
You were off in the corner, not necessarily important to the story.
Okay. So whenever someone would come up, I try to do something to have fun with them instead of just like fighting. And Bill Narrows came up while he was playing Wizard. And before we engaged at all, I'm just like, all right, guys, wait a minute. Instead of fighting us, let's make a trade because we had like gold or something that they could loot from us. And he's like, well, what do you want? I'm like, I don't care. Pick something. And he's like, I don't have anything on me except force bolts. I'm like, that'll do. Just give me force bolt. So I gave him like the little card of money, and he gave me a force bolt. And I was playing Bard at the time, and I'm like, I'm gonna use this. I earned this. I'm using this. So the next group that came up, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna throw this force bolt at someone.
Nice. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I've started trying to do stuff like that a little bit because it's definitely more fun than just fighting people, waiting for more people to come, fighting people, waiting for more people. Been trying to make my own fun out of it, I guess.
Yeah. One quest many years ago, I was playing a gnome, and we were like gnome bandits. It was me, Gustav, and a couple other people, and I had this high pitched gnome voice that I use, and basically I was pretending to be a drug dealer, and this is my gang, and we had a hideout, and people couldn't come in unless like I got someone to take off their shoes and put them up in the trees, like you know, like the legend is you have shoes in the telephone pole. There's drug sales around. Well, I did that for in the forest, so I don't remember who it was, but they were walking around without shoes. They got the little reward that they're supposed to get. They did what they were going to do, but I had fun at that. Yeah.
I think my favorite was Nameless Campout. This was a Sone's reign, or around that time, Sone Bloody Maw. We had it was like Amtgard adjacent. It was kind of their own thing, but it was all Amtgarders using Amtgard rule set for this. But it was a like 18-hour a day LARP. So like there are certain times between like 2 and 6, whatever, that there is no role play, no combat, but other than that, it's free for all. And I was playing a goblin, and a buddy of mine, Noram, was down, and he was playing the God of the Forge. And so he had this setup with like the 5-gallon drums and stuff taped off or whatever. I spent probably 6 hours just messing with him. Like, I would be jumping up and down at the window and, in character, hey, what are you doing? I would recruit the players to find ways to get me into the forge. And I was playing a goblin, so we've got the what was it, Vanquish Me and My Brothers, the Avenge Me My Brothers. It's so like he would with his giant two-handed hammer, and he would like grab me, pick me up, and I'm just asking him all sorts of questions. Like, hey, what are you working on? Hey, what's this? Hey, he's like putting my head in the forge and like working the bellows and stuff. So I pop. Oh, there's another goblin. For 6 hours, and we were just going back and forth every time he thought he got rid of one. So the lead up, that's all just to paint the scene. I am being chased by a group of adventurers because I may or may not have collected all the shinies that I could find within the campsite. And I'm running past him, and he hasn't actually swung his 8.5-foot tall warhammer at somebody in combat yet. And he's he's a two-handed great fighter in Amtgard, over 6 foot tall. He big boy. Well, I'm running, and he was mid conversation with somebody because he didn't. I don't even think he quite realized that he picked it up and swung instinctually. And I was coming down a hill, hit me right in the junk. I collapse mid-stride, and I slide about 8-10 feet down the rest of this hill. They're like, oh my god, are you okay? I go, I'm like, that killed like 5 goblins. I'm not respawning. Here you go. And I was like one of those treasure goblins from Diablo. I'm just pouring out all these shinies and stuff because I can't get up. So sometimes the role play your death is forced upon you. Other times it's by choice. Be the one that it's by choice. Or annoy a 6-foot person and they will show you how to roleplay your death.
Well, it sounds very instructional.
It was it was very hands-on learning. But no, those roleplay events, they're so much fun.
So
Bring
is
back
there
Shattered
anything?
Kingdoms.
Bring back Shattered
Shattered
Kingdoms?
Kingdoms.
I plan on talking to the Forge people this weekend when I'm there, because I'm friends with Connie and she's the site manager, so why not talk with her? I really wanted to the reason it didn't happen the year before last is because the site went belly up that we were going to use in the last minute. I got the refund back luckily, so we didn't lose any money when they lost their site. But then it was kind of hard to get people motivated to do the next one, and personally, I was a little bit burnt out a little bit, so I didn't put the effort forward to find a site for last year. But I'm ready to go again. We have most of it planned out, role play like story wise and quest wise, because we were going to do it 2 years ago when the pandemic. Well, when we could play again, I wouldn't call it over, but we could play again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if I can bring it back next year.
Heck yeah.
Because well, I enjoy it. I enjoy doing the process. I love world building. I love creating an environment where people get to play out a story. I love playing our tabletop role playing games. I love DMing that, and it's just another avenue to be able to tell a story. And I love telling stories. So
Some of my favorite memories are from Shattered Kingdoms, just because like the things that happened there somehow worked out to be very memorable. Like
yeah,
like most pack wars kind of blend together to me because they were all fun, but like I don't know, something about Shattered Kingdoms is just different.
Mm-hmm.
well, one thing I one of the philosophies I had behind it, especially very noticeable in the season that I did the tokens, where you like the one that you made your jacket out of with the dragons. I wanted to make sure everyone could tell a personal story that was kind of sort of tailored to not necessarily them individually, but their group. So a lot of the people got like little side quests and stories that they could tell on their own. And so I tried to do that was probably the most obvious event where I did that, but I've tried to do that in some way in each event. I might have lost sight of that a little bit in the last one though. But yeah, I mean, and that might mean that it creates more memories, like you're saying. So,
Mhm.
but oh, Nate James is talking away. See, one of my favorite RP moments was this is what James Nate says. One of my favorite RP moments was with Oswald and Minerva and another player. I was a baby dragon in a relic quest. Minerva threw up a circle of protection and cracked McKay Mouse. Oh, and in a cracked Mickey Mouse voice, I was struggling to get into the COP just mad as fuck. It was great. Mickey, okay. Sorry, I butchered that a little bit. Yeah, that sounds fun. And
Kind of like,
create.
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that tunic that you wore with the silver dragon on it, Cratius. Didn't you wear that for your knighting as well?
I did. I
Yeah.
specifically wore that because I've had that tunic, not intentionally, but every big award I've gotten, I've worn that tunic somehow. I don't know how it worked out that way, but like I noticed it when when I was trying to get my Paragon Scout, because I looked back at like all the pictures and stuff, and I noticed like my Paragon Monk, I was wearing it. My
Mm-hmm.
Battle Master and Paragon Wizard, I was wearing that. So like I'm like, okay, we'll just keep this going. So I did it for every court until like the Paragon Scout came because I was working towards it, so I didn't know when it was coming or if it was going to. But I'm just like, okay, I'll wear this, every court. And eventually I did get it while wearing it. And then same thing for like Warlord. And I'm like, okay, it's got to be. I've met the criteria, so at some point it's got to be giving out. So just start wearing this every court. Got it there. And then at my nighty, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely wearing this.
Well, on a
It's
personal
appropriate.
on a personal level, it warms my heart all the time seeing you wear that because it means that I made an impact on you at some point, and
I
I
I
like,
love that tunic
yeah.
so much. It's one of my favorite pieces of garb I own.
Oh, cool. Nate James got a best RP for that.
Nice.
So, is there anything you guys are looking forward to over the this summer in a LARP sense?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Oh, I was gonna. Oh, sorry. Okay, well, all right, I'll go. Um, so one thing that I'm looking forward to is like for the events that are happening. We've got, you know, was it Thousand Stars, Pack War, uh, Western War, uh, NLCC. Like in the next few months, we've got a bunch of events,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to spend time with those people that, there's some that I still haven't been able to see very much at all since, since the before time. Um and I mean, cuz even before we got to see each other maybe like 4 times a year, maybe, if we were
Yeah.
lucky. I've got friends, I mean, I've been playing this game a little while, and some of them, like, we go back to the pre-Havoc days, where, like, I can chat with people about Solaris, and I can chat with people about, Ian McLashin and all those guys. And being able to see those people again, and kind of that role play it's kind of one of those. It's both role play and it's my character and the person controlling my character having that reunion with these people. You know, it's I'm not the same boy that they saw, you know, when I left home.
Yeah.
And I'm coming back as a knight. I'm coming back as, you know, I've been in Kingdom Office. I've been doing these things. Hey, I haven't seen you in, you know, however long. How have you been? And being able to catch up with them, and because I mean, Amtgard has been, it saved my life. It gave me the tools that I needed to be able to deal with some of the things that were going on. And you know, I get it. It's a club, it's a sport and all that, but it was that catalyst that I needed for me. And those people that were there for that journey, it's like the chosen family, you know. Um, you know, there's people that I consider very close. And then there's people that um in my own family that I don't even know. And so just that's one thing that I'm looking forward to with these events and people coming out of the woodwork and feeling comfortable uh entering these events and doing those things. And you know, that's what the game's about for me.
Yeah, it's about where I'm at. I guess see a lot of the people. I was going out last year with NLCC, and I've been going to IO at least once or twice a year, which I'm going to in June. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to.
Mhm.
Because it's I call it my sister park, but I don't know. It's where a lot of my Northern Lights friends are that I talk to.
Mhm. Chris looking forward to hitting people.
Yeah, a lot of my core group that I like grew up in the game with, I guess you could say, a lot of them don't play anymore, so that's kind of sad. But like a few of them do. So, but they're all here. Like I've only ever been to this kingdom, so other than Northern Lights, but like I see them the same time you guys do, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's something I'm looking forward to, but I don't think it quite has the same impact on me as it does you guys, which I feel like that's kind of normal, just because like you have more history than I do. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to having fun. Really, I'm taking a break from focusing on any sort of big goals, and I'm just focusing on having fun at this point.
That's good. That'll keep you more engaged long term, I think.
Yeah, I came very close to quitting this past GMR run. Yeah, KGMR run,
Mm.
because I just got so like I was frustrated with myself, frustrated with people, frustrated with life in general. So like
People
nothing,
suck.
yeah, for real. But like literally nothing at that time was like good except for my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And even that is like it has stresses that comes with it, so it's not like an outlet kind of like it is, but
Mm-hmm.
it isn't. It's weird to explain. Um, but like there was just no me time, I guess, where I enjoyed it, and that was pretty rough. So I don't think I'm going to be doing Office again anytime soon. And I think I probably won't have anything I strive super hard towards for a little bit. Like if something comes, great, that's awesome. But like I don't really care at this point, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Because
I think you.
go ahead.
Well, I think you striving for your personal goals of improving your sword stick or your stick and going beyond just Art Kingdom to measure yourself to is goals being active in the game.
Yeah, they're they don't feel like goals though, because they're just that's how I have fun. So it's like
Oh,
it
well,
is
that
a goal,
helps.
but it's not. I guess if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
not. It's a goal without pressure. I think
Mm-hmm.
is how it works. Which is just fun at that point to me.
Yeah.
I've found something similar where like it's the stuff that you do for you that's the most difficult. Oh, I'm doing an award for somebody? Okay, yeah, that's easy. Hey, why don't you draw something for you? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, do you ever feel like that where like you just want to go and dink around like sparring with people and all that stuff, but then that back of your mind is like, it's time to get serious. It's time to be competitive. You're like, no, it's really not. It's always time.
Oh yeah, I struggle with that hard, especially when I'm having off days where I'm just doing awful. I'm like, I know I'm better than this. What is happening right now? And then I'm just like, no, we're having fun. Just calm down. We're having fun. And then it's just a constant battle between those two. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I've gotten a little better at it here recently because, like I said, I was at such a low point in that KGMR run that like anything was gonna boost me up, and somehow that like changed my attitude towards the game a little bit from being I like instead of working towards things, I want to just have fun,
Mm-hmm.
which is I've never really noticed this about myself, but the more I look back at like my school years and all that stuff, I never really did a lot just for fun. There was always something like I was working towards,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
very goal oriented.
yeah, which I I guess that just kind of caught up to me at some point. And it's weird because it's not like I want like recognition from other people. It's my own recognition that I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for. So even when I would do something, and Minerva pointed this out to me, even when I would like do something and get like noticed for it by other people, like when I got my warlord, I still didn't feel like I had earned it, even though I know criteria wise I had earned it like 2 times over. And I was just it sucked because it's like I was looking forward to that and the payoff wasn't what I wanted, but that was my own fault
Mm-hmm.
because it was like my mindset of it. Um, so
That's that is like imposter syndrome.
yeah,
The
that's what she told me it was.
Yeah.
the difficulty is you're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel
Yeah,
because only you see the things that you see that you don't like about whatever it is you're doing, whatever your art form is, whether it's swinging a stick or pulling a brush. you know Other people see one thing and that's all they can see, just like you looking out at somebody else and that's like your off day and your on day, and you're comparing your what you're seeing and you're not liking to them, like, oh man, they were able to pull off that shot, that stab over the shoulder. God, I want to do that too. Like, yeah, you can. Maybe not today. Maybe you suck today. That's okay. If you're always having good days, then you don't appreciate them. And I promise you, they're thinking the exact same shit you are. Like, you know, that imposter syndrome, oh God, it is ruthless.
It is. I've experienced it so many times. I experience it now. I
Hmm.
experience it making the YouTubes or just playing a quest or just anything I do. I'm much better at it now, but it still creeps in.
Yeah. Still me with my art. Bad, bad. I
That doesn't
I
look so
can
bad.
I can
um,
count on one hand how many pieces of art that I was satisfied with, where I was like, "Hey, I actually did a good job.
I
I've
was
done
like
a
that with photography.
Mm-hmm.
1 second.
And so yeah, imposter syndrome, like, I feel you, bud. Respect.
Yeah. It's
Keep
great that Kratos has found a way to combat it. Took me longer.
one of the things that I've that right there.
There we go. This is my favorite award, and it was the first one I got.
That was
Which
the
one is it?
first. That
It's
is
my
his
Paragon
Paragon
Monk.
Monk.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That was my very first award. That was number
Oh,
one.
wow.
Well,
Great.
I
That
You're
love
was
number
it.
one.
that was. I remember I was showing Sir Brenyar my sketchbook because we didn't have any leadership at Deepwater Glen at the time, and he was like, "Hey, do you draw awards? Like, you can do that? Like, okay, bud, we're heading this way." And it's kind of what got all that stuff started, and the opportunity came to make your scroll, and like, yes. I did that on vacation. I took it with me. Like, I was working on that thing so much. That is anxiety. That right there is, is it gonna look like him? Is he gonna be able to tell that it's him? Is he gonna like it? Is he gonna be mad because it's not color? All the
No,
same shit.
it's perfect. I like legitimately, it's perfect. There's nothing I would change about it. I love it so much.
Well, I'm glad.
This,
I the one time I can say that like I felt accomplished, I guess, with my goal was when I got this, and it was because I was at a point where I was like, okay, I'm done trying because I just like got so fed up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I was expecting like just maybe something small, just like a piece of paper, like here you go, good job type thing. But
Mm-hmm.
like the amount of work that went into it, because gosh dang, I know it was a lot, and just the amount of care and detail and all that. It was like, okay, if this person thinks that I did this good of a job for them to do this whole thing, I have to give myself at least some credit, because like, yeah. And that was I have cried, I think, twice when receiving awards. One of them was this, and the other was my warlord, and that was only because after I was down there and they gave me the piece of paper and it was like beautiful and everything. I was like, okay, I can hold this in, because it's been a few years. I have a little practice about holding it in.
Mm-hmm.
And then Vaughn, out of nowhere, just came out of the side and was holding like uh this red like pouch with a golden dodo bird with like phoenix wings on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, these two things combined, I couldn't hold it in.
it's great.
But yeah, you can look back at the picture of me holding my Paragon Monk, and you can see my face is all like red and like
Mm-hmm.
blushed because I'm like embarrassed that I was crying so hard about it.
No, I remember because that was long before my Paragon. I remember you and I were monking it up
Mhm.
on those battlefields. It
Yep.
was it was so well earned. It was so well earned.
Thank you.
Credit
Yeah,
where
great.
it's
You
due,
did all
man.
right.
Thanks, Baelnorn. Keep me
You're
humble.
welcome. Actually, that award is the only time that I cried too. The one that Asa gave me. Although to be fair, while it was a beautiful award, it was really Kinjin's words combined with the award that got me going. Because Kinjin went so far as to like look at my orc and research some of the things I did before like decades ago. So
Mm-hmm.
and then that is the nicest piece of art I've ever had. It was the first thing that I put up my wall since I was like a teenager. So yeah, and I spent the money to get a proper frame and glass and everything. So yeah, I was really stoked.
I'm glad. Kim Jin and I, that's kind of why I went the way that I did for his award. Uh, he and I have been a tag team for a couple of years. We actually climbed the ladder together. It's like, hey, if you do words, I can do art. I can't do words. He's like, I can't do art. I'm like, okay, we are a team. We are going to do this. And yeah, it was crazy how he was able to paint with words and make such a vivid picture in my mind that it felt like cheating. Like I was basically just tracing whatever was in my head, and I'm just like, yeah, this is good. Like this will work perfect. Like I was imagining a gnome in their get up. It was like, well, walking through a forest of like mushrooms and this type of stuff, because like you see the giant mushrooms in like deep forests and all that type of stuff, and it was just like, what would a gnomish court look like? I imagine like walking through this path of like, large mushrooms and all that type of stuff with little fairy lights going around and all that stuff as you're walking down the aisle to get to the thing. I'm just like, if you're turning around, like seeing the person walking down what would that look like? That? Okay, let's do that.
Worked out, I think.
I think it worked out. If it means something to somebody, this has kind of been my thing. I want to put, and sometimes I fall short. I want to put as much effort into recognizing the person for what they did as what they did to get there. You know, that's when I know it'll mean something to them. Is because if it's personal, there's little things in each piece that's specific to that person. That's not going to make sense to anyone else but that person. And for other people, they're like, oh, hey, that looks cool. For them, this was made for me for this moment in this place right now. Right. And I may not have the words to say, hey, you did it. Good job. I would let my pictures do the speaking for me. And hearing you guys say like, hey, this means something to me. It's all worth it.
Well, good, because it does.
It means a lot.
So I got two devils on my shoulders. The angel retired a long time ago. When it comes to my drawings and my art and stuff, yeah, that last scroll for Casey was going to be my last one. But I don't know. I don't like giving up. So no.
Well, as long as
No,
you
I'm
take
gonna
care of your
get
health
healthy.
first. There you
I'm
go.
gonna I'm gonna get healthy, and I'm gonna make good art decisions by drawing more.
Tangentially related, I was moving 3 years ago, and I took a picture of my master rose that I found. And I think it's important to show off what back in 2013 looked like. See if I can put it into the chat here for a second. Oh, it's not going to work, is it?
Oh,
You can see it, but I don't think everyone else can. Oh, you
you can
guys
see it on
can.
the stream.
Okay, yeah, that was my master rose. Just a printed piece of paper with a signature. That's what it was like back, even 2000, I think 13 is what it says.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've came a long way into the
Yeah.
quality that we give out to people, and I love it. It's great. Like that Archduke is the first real nice award that I've ever gotten. That's not true. I have a Night Squirrel, but it's a small little thing compared to this.
Well, I mean, back then we weren't doing much for scrolls and stuff at the time. I mean,
No.
a lot of knights that I know from back then, they don't even have scrolls. That's part of the whole like why no scroll left behind movement came around and all that. But I actually have a question for you guys. So I mean, you're knight of sword and battle, and you're knight of the flame. In your avenue, what's something that the kingdom has been doing well, and what's something that you think they can work towards doing better this summer?
You want to go first?
No.
No. All right.
I have to think about
Battle.
that.
Yeah, battle. I might have to think about it a little bit, but sword. What comes to mind, like offhand, is probably like classes of some sort. I don't know how much interest there is in that though. Um.
Sign me up.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet.
Oh, the
That's
hot damn.
sorry. Anyway. Yeah, classes. So like getting together high
Sign.
tier fighters from people and just like planning a day of like, okay, this Kaylee we're gonna have, I don't know, even like a half-hour class, so it doesn't take up so much time, but it's like enough to get some knowledge out there. And then if people want like extra stuff, they can ask afterwards, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe there was one rain. Like I said, a lot of stuff blends together to me, so I can't picture out which one it was. But every now and then we just have a random kingdom tournament. It wasn't a War Master, it wasn't Weapon Master. It was just like a random kingdom sponsored tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was, I don't recall the frequency of it, but I gut feeling, I think it was like a little too often maybe that we had them.
Mm.
But like 2 tournaments in a reign, I don't think is quite enough either. I think we should have at least like 1 or 2 more, especially because it's weird to say, but ones that are named like Weapon Master and War Master, I feel like they bring more anxiety and like stress than a random one-off. Here's a kingdom
Yeah.
tournament. Go have fun.
No, they do. 100%. They're named. You know. I remember what you're talking about because that was when we were doing the split from all the tournaments are bracketed to now they're beginning to be bear pit, and then that's when the introduction of the warlord style tournament where it was a bear pit into bracketed was starting. I remember. Anyway, yes. That classes and more tournaments.
Mhm. A
Battle, it's
bunch
easy to
more.
start role playing your deaths.
Yeah, there you go. With sword though, it's kind of hard because I know it's not the most popular thing around here, which is completely fine. You know, people have their own like fun avenues in this game, and I know that one's not super popular, which is why I don't want to like push a bunch of that kind of stuff out. I just want a little bit more, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm not super pushy on that aspect. Um, but like if I were to like you asked me the question of what I think should happen, that would be what I
Mm-hmm.
feel.
I see the need of it for sure, and I also think you're onto something. I really do. I feel as though if it were made available, people would show up. I mean, even if you said at noon, I know how Amtgarders are about being on time. I think people would still show up on time
Yeah.
to, because we play a combat centric game and someone's willing to teach you about being better at combat. and spend that one-on-one time. That's so invaluable.
Hmm.
Even if it's just teaching you, hey, this is what you can practice. This is how you can practice. This is how you can self-tune and all that stuff. Like self-adjust and all that.
I mean, even you could start. You could like talk to whoever's running the KLE. You could talk, or if you want to have it at a KLE and talk like, hey, can we start a class at 11 o'clock and just make sure that people are aware there's a class at 11 o'clock. They can show up a little early, and it would not get in the way of the day. And if you're consistent about doing it, in the first couple classes, people might not be as present. But if they figure out that you're serious about being there at 11 and starting at 11, people will, in my experience, generally realize that you are serious and will make the effort to be there at 11 and not say Amtgard time kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
If it's happening at 11, I'm going to make sure that BOD meetings and Knights meetings take no more than 3 minutes apiece because I'm taking that class.
Oh, and Nate says, when faced with the choices people have to make fun, uh, want to have fun. That's a problem I found with classes during events and park days. So Nate was suggesting having them on fighter practice days.
We could do
So,
that, but I think the actual problem there is that the classes themselves aren't engaging. And I
mm,
think that if you change that to, if the people watching aren't just watching, they're actually doing,
Mm-hmm.
that's when a class will become more interesting to people.
yeah, drills are important.
More
Hmm.
engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was always like stuff I struggled with, as I can sit there and listen to someone teach, and I can get some stuff out of it, but like it's not super fun to do. So it's kind of like, okay, I got to make myself do this because I want to get better. It's
Mm-hmm.
just going to be a little boring for a little bit. Whereas SKBC like showed me how fun a class can actually be, because like it's just like, okay, here's 10 minutes at most of an explanation of something. Go try it real quick. Come back and we'll go further. And
Mm-hmm.
that like small process somehow made it so much more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Baelnorn?
I had a few minutes to think about it, and for the flame path specifically, I think good thing is that I think people are being recognized for their work at a more frequent level than sometimes in the past. For example, it just happens to be the time that they're going to get knighted, but Cormac and Fritz are getting knighted for the uh,
Mm-hmm.
for Flame at Pack War, and they've both been doing lots of things.
Mm-hmm.
Cormac, obviously, his tavern is well known for that, and he's gotten a lot of awards, and he's always made an effort to make it bigger and better and fresh every time. But then there you have Fritz, and he's been a long time player, and he's always been doing something behind the scenes. And so while people that know him know that the stuff he's been doing, but this leads into I think that perhaps we should explain to people more about what's going on in the path to people that don't look at what people are doing behind the scenes, because a lot of flame path rose specifically is a lot of behind the scenes things that people may not see.
Mm-hmm.
So I would kind of like to see maybe a way, maybe through classes or through like online spotlights or something like that, just kind of talking about all the things that people can do, are doing, the effort that take comes like for Smith work. What does it take to actually run a camp out? What does this position do? What's that position do?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that, I think, would be something that would give a better understanding to the volunteer aspects of the game that
Mm-hmm.
newer players specifically might not be aware of.
So similar to the fighting practice, but for the rose path.
Yeah, although the classes may not necessarily be the best way to do it, but having some workshops to talk about the subjects. But I think a lot of online kind of spotlights or processes, or I could help by actually talking about them because I don't do it very often, like I probably should. But yeah, I don't know exactly what form that would look like, but I know a lot of people seem to be mystified by some of the things that take place behind the scenes, and finding some way to demystify them would be
Mm-hmm.
advantageous, I think. Nate James has put up his hands. Fritz was a lifesaver during Pack War last year in the kitchen. Yes, he was. And people that walk by will see it. Had always saw him in there the whole entire time, but a lot of people don't know who he is, or even worse, confuse him for me, because I get confused for him a lot. He gets confused for me a lot. It's a fucking joke. It's hilarious, but yeah.
So, what are your guys' thoughts about the paths going away and there just being one knighthood?
I'm for it.
Hmm. I honestly haven't thought much about it. I mean, the one thing I thought of that would I immediately like fix was that the trim helps you know what night that is, but we have master hoods for that, so the belt favor on there should be enough.
Mm.
But I'd have to think more about it. I think it's not necessarily a bad thing, but there is also part of me that would want to look at it a little more before I gave like my honest and full opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
I have thought about it for a bit. I guess I don't know. Did you guys see the big thread that popped up on Amtgard unofficial
Oh,
like yesterday about this?
I briefly like glanced through it. I didn't look at it super hard, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's what actually like the little bit that I did think about it. Like I saw it and read some stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay, that'd be interesting. And then I kind
Yeah.
of just forgot about it.
I'm not sure if that's why Asa brought up the question, but yeah, I saw that. I didn't really. I skimmed through it as well, but heard the topic thought or brought up over the last year or two, more occasionally than before. And my opinion is like, I think it would help a lot get rid of a lot of the uh, discussions about if someone's worthy when they're for like multiple belts.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is kind of like talking about night circle stuff, so I'm not going to get into the details, but like it would cut down on our talking about shit a lot. I think if we just had one night belt to vote on, we wouldn't have to worry about second belts, third belts, fourth belts, fifth belts. It's an awesome concept, but like logistically, like just talking about them, it kills a lot of our like nighttime, like a lot of our meeting time that is unnecessary. I think it's also not confusing to new people, but I think it'd be a lot easier for them to like oh that's a night. Look at the belt favor because like a flame path and a smith path, two completely different can be two completely different things, and
Mm-hmm.
so just it's all under one belt, but they're completely different aspects of the volunteer system, and so you don't know which one to go to, so you still have to look at the masterhood. So it kind of makes it a little less point or less makes it mean a little bit. I don't know what I'm saying at that point. I'm
It
rambling.
it yeah. So at that point, what would the difference be between masterhood and knighthood?
What it should be now, which is knighthood is character based, masterhood is you did the thing.
So the way that I've always viewed it is masterhood is the bar and knighthood is helping people reach the bar.
Yep.
And where I see both sides, I'm a habitual fence sitter on this topic. I
Mm.
also believe that knighthood should be termed just like any other office. Um, but that's another conversation. Um, if I am a serpent knight with a masterhood and dragon, people come to me about art or whatever their performance medium is for input, feedback, those types of things. If I'm a knight for flame or crown, but I'm a master dragon. Maybe I don't want to talk to you about your art. That's the difference to me between masters and knights. Knights are, hey, I have my sketchbook with me literally at every event. You want to learn how to draw an eye? Boom, we're sitting down. I'm going to teach you how to draw an eye. Kind of like if someone came up to you and be like, hey, you've killed me with the same move 14 times in a row. Can you teach me either how to do that or how to stop dying to it, please? Like, with that white belt with that specific trim, it's part of your job
Mhm.
to be like, yes, I can. Even if it's the same thing that you've shown or talked about 100 times, it's this is what you are. This is what you need to be. Versus a master. A master is someone who wins Olympiad and is like, hey, good game. Let me know when I have a bad one. Like that's masterhood. You have earned your place as one of the best, if not the best, in this field, in this area, in our game. That's all the masterhood flag means to me. Is you have done something that has elevated you to a certain quality. Now, knighthood is about teaching people and being an example for other people so that way they can realize their own path to be exemplary. So the problem that I'm personally running into with the all masterhoods one knighthood is, okay, say they're a knight. If there's no clear foundation, if they have multiple masterhoods, which one are they masters of? Which one are they knights of? Yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining it in the right way, but perhaps someone is like with the rose path. I wouldn't be able to explain at the same level, personally myself. I wouldn't be able to explain at the same level of volunteering and what it took for me to get there for somebody else as art technique and deconstruction of an image, or using different mediums, or the differences between X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense?
It
Yeah.
does. Although I think that it could be alleviated with uh, belt favors with the masterhoods on them. So then they would know it's a knight with that masterhood.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're also talking about like what if they're a master dragon, but they are
So what if they're displaying
not
the
putting
flags, but they don't want to be a knight in,
in that certain area?
yes,
Yeah.
maybe I don't want to talk about service shit because I just got done with a 60-hour work week and then I'm dealing with somebody and I don't want to talk about this and I'm about to get mean. Because there are those days too.
Yeah.
And
And
if
we're
it's
human, so
I mean, at that point it's if you're going to put on the white belt, then here's your terms and conditions. You are expected to be XYZ. If you're not willing to be XYZ, then just be a master. There's nothing wrong with, hey, look at how high I have pissed on this tree. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you're not wanting to, don't have the personality for, or whatever, to be that teacher, that uplifter for the next generation, then don't. And that's one of those things of like, for me, I cast a vote for my flame. right now it's much like this. I don't know how to put into words how the volunteer aspect is, other than I give of myself because I feel as though that's what I need to do. Because I don't feel that I have worth unless I am providing worth to someone else. How am I supposed to say that to somebody? Like I swing stick because if I don't, like that's not necessarily what I want for someone to come up be like, "Hey, I want to be, this." Let me grab my buddy over here. Baelnorn, will you teach this individual how to be a flame knight? Like, you know, I
Yeah.
think that's kind of what the trim is supposed to be. And I think it has shifted from a customer service sign to a gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal type mentality. You're not
Well,
a
I
real
think
fighter unless you've got the silver trim.
I don't. I think that you're not wrong in a way, but I think that's been a push and pull for our culture the whole entire time. Is it an achievement award or is it like your customer service award, kind of like leadership aspect?
Mhm.
People in my experience, albeit more localized, because I think you're from Texas, aren't you? You traveled some in
I've
Amtgard.
traveled all over.
Yeah.
No, I
So
mean
you might.
nothing like on ATOG, but
Oh, okay. But yeah, so in my experience in our local area, there's been ways where people are more. This is like a social achievement award where it's for you're supposed to be the leader in your field. You're supposed to teach. You're supposed to do all that stuff. That's always been there, but sometimes it's a more stronger emphasis one amp guard generation compared to another, where it
Mhm.
might be more goal driven. So they're trying to get the belt to say, "I got the belt."
Mhm.
I think we're now in a phase where maybe there's more people saying, "I want the belt to get the belt."
Mhm.
It's a push and pull that I've seen over the last couple of decades in our area. Oh, Nate James has a question. I'm curious because if there's one belt, won't that leave questions on does this player need to master multiple paths now before qualifying for knighthood? Personally, I think as long as we don't say that you have to have multiple masterhoods, people are not going to think you're going to need multiple masterhoods. I have not seen discussion where that would be the case where people would need multiple masterhoods. That's the first time I've seen the question brought up actually, although I haven't been like too deep in the conversation.
That
So I don't
is
know.
an interesting take, though.
Because it even if it's not specified, some people are gonna take it that way. But I mean, that's pretty much with anything. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not qualified for Knight of the Sword until you're a Master Griffin.
I
Well, Miller's
mean,
fine.
yeah, I don't know if I necessarily disagree with that one. No, I'm just kidding. That's a hard one to get,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Griffins just people don't even think about them as much as they used to.
I love the Griffin Award. It's one of my favorite awards. That and Jovius. I wish
Mhm.
Jovius went out more.
Mhm.
Jovius is just a 6 month award, isn't it? Or am I thinking
Um,
Walker in the Middle?
Walker's a Paragon Reeve basically, so you're probably thinking of Jovius.
Okay.
If it was put that way, do each of you think you would still be knighted? Oh, if there
Um,
was just one belt? Uh,
well, my belt, both of my belt paths only have one ladder, so
mhm.
I don't know that there's much else I could do. So I'm
Oh,
probably
you're
not.
talking about like the terms thing.
Oh, okay. Uh, I don't know, honestly. That would be up to the people, I guess.
Would you be willing to teach fighting in tournaments and for the battlefield
Yeah,
if asked for a period of 6 months?
yeah.
Okay, then yeah. I'm not saying like the prerequisites should be super stringent, just
Yeah.
yeah, like I've maybe you haven't met the knights, but I've met some knights that were absolute jerks when you ask them to help you with this thing that they very specifically are the best of the best in that area for. And you're basically told to eat shit and die. And it's like, well, okay, fine, be
I
that
haven't
way.
met any that bad, but I've met some that I'm like, I don't know if you should really have that, but all right.
Mm-hmm. And it's always difficult when you're dealing with like your personal morals, values, outlook, and stuff like that versus making decisions for the group as a whole.
Hmm.
And then each of the kingdoms has its very own uh, uh not ecosystem. What's the word for it? Where's culture? Each kingdom is very different in its culture.
Mm.
So,
Oh, Nate James, I just want to point this out, was talking about the Jovius every 6 months. He wasn't talking about a 6 months in
oh, gotcha,
office
gotcha, gotcha.
teaching kind of thing. He just,
Ah,
So
yeah,
once a reign award.
hmm
yeah.
That was actually that award was my first kingdom level award, and I got that during Brynjar's reign.
Hmm.
I was
Congrats.
so excited. I love that award so much.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was the same. That was when I got my walker.
Was
Hmm.
it?
It's the Pack War, the 4-H.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. That was the same year I got my walker.
I think the only special award that I got, I mean, outside of a lot of the awards and titles, is Zodiac,
Hmm.
which is for contributions in 6 months during a reign or something like that. I don't even remember what it was for specifically. So long ago. It was
Here's
before
a
they started.
question:
Hmm.
Noble titles. Where do you feel they land within this game?
In what regard? Like, like
So, if you go someplace like the SEA,
hmm
where if you're wearing a hat with a certain amount of points, the crowd spread for you. Um, in this game, it feels like a "Hey, I did the thing" badge. Um, where if you do enough terms, did a good enough thing, so on and so forth, cool, you got a thing. Most people don't even know what it means. They can't tell you how many points means what or how they're different. They can't even generally tell if this is the crown that they're wearing because they are currently the monarch of this place or, not. Um, and then in that same breath, how knighthood is viewed as this achievement award, and yet it is down. I think it's the third from the bottom in
It's pretty
the
low, yeah.
the noble. The thing that
Order of
takes,
precedence.
yeah, the order of precedence, the thing that it takes 5, 10, 15, 20 years more for some people is compared to, hey, you ran some pretty good battle games a couple of times at your park that has a bunch of people, you know. Like, where do you think noble titles and all that stuff is in this game?
Um, I'll go first this time. Give Critias a couple minutes to think about this. So I view it as well, just by the nature of knighthood is harder to get in general than any noble title. People are gonna put more weight on social capital on the knight belt. and I think that our titles come into play for when you're role playing.
Hmm.
And it feels like it's more of an achievement award system because like for Archduke, I think is like you have to be king once, you have to be regent, and you have to be duke of, or and you have to hold an office uh, in a duchy, or it's
Hmm.
something, some combination of three offices, and it's like kind of like trying to get your achievement awards and like check off the dots. Like
Hmm.
it's kind of ridiculous. Maybe it's not holding them to the highest standard as people think they should be. But I kind of like I want to get like a Esquire. Like I would like I don't know if I'd seriously do it, but if there was like a new holding and I would like yeah I'll be your champion. I'm
Hmm.
gonna switch over just so I can earn that title. It's almost like a check mark. Like see, I got this. It's cool.
Hmm.
Um, and while it's not everyone views it that way, obviously, but with how little emphasis is placed on titles compared to like the ladder award system, that's how I kind of feel about them. I still respect them. It takes a lot of work to get some of them, especially when you get to like Grand Duke is hard. Trying to do two good reigns of king is harder than it should be. Um,
Hmm.
it takes a lot of mental effort. So I understand the. I personally, because I've gone through it, understand the work that goes in behind those awards, but a lot of other people might not. But they should definitely be respected, and there should be some difference too in role playing, court scenarios, stuff like that.
Hmm. What about you, bud?
Um, I wish there was um not more to them, but like they meant more. I guess basically what like Baelnorn said. Like they should. I wish they had. I don't even know how you could do it, but just make them more meaningful in some way.
Hmm.
But I really don't know how you could. Um, I whenever I see like certain ones, I'm like I have respect for that person because like I know that's a hard job. Like Duke through Grand Duke is like monarch stuff. That's not
Hmm.
easy. People suck. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
having to deal with them, let alone do it well twice, that
Hmm.
takes patience, effort, like it takes a special person. So like that should be respected.
Right.
And I think I don't know all the requirements for every office. I know a few here and there or every title, but
Hmm.
the ones that I know about, like, yeah, those take effort. Like they're not just freely given. So those
Hmm.
they should have some sort of respect put on them, and they should mean something. I just don't know how you would make it that way without doing something towards role play and court.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I know that Ferrarin has a list of honorifics that are used for like if you are, your grace, my lord, you know, for when you're having conversation or when you are introducing somebody when he was doing the etiquette class.
Hmm.
Um, the pomp and circumstance, when you are talking to someone of, noble, it's somebody who's serving in kingdom monarchy. Even I myself, whenever I'm talking to Her Majesty or Her Highness, um, I always begin the conversation with Your Highness or Your Majesty, or if it's just us, Your Meowjesty. And it's giving that nod, and giving that slight bow. Um, when we're passing by, walking by and stuff like that. Obviously, if they're in mid conversation, I'm not going to detract from it, but even just giving that little bit of acknowledgement when people see, it's kind of like the role playing your death thing. When people see people doing it, people will start doing it because the people that they look up to are putting weight on it. You know, when I remember when I was out on the battlefield and the first time I saw a sword knight take a death, I mean, in the most dramatic way, I was like, that was cool. I'm gonna go try. And, you know, I flailed around while I was dying. I was like 13 at the time. And they were like, yes, get someone get me a Reeve. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you die. And then they picked me up and they said, hey, go tag in. You'll be alive again. Because the death count was fucking, what, 5 minutes
5 minutes, yeah.
at the time? That.
I remember I completely forgot about this, but it made me feel good. I had just got my lore title. I was probably like 16 or 17, and we are at a VSR Kelly, and I don't remember the night, but we were playing a meat grinder. Critius, you know what a meat grinder is? We haven't played them in a while. You do? Okay.
We played it quite a bit when I first started out, like that first year, and then just disappeared after that.
Okay. So people that are watching that might not know, you circle up, your number's called, you come in and fight, then you go back out to the ring, just keep repeating it. And I hadn't been called for quite a while, and this one guy, one night, and I forget his name, he like, why aren't you calling him? He's a lord. He should be respected and it should be acknowledged. Why aren't you calling him for him to fight? And I just, like, kind of felt kind of nice to be acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
So... James says, I could walk to Mordor in the time it took to come back to life in V7. Yeah, almost like that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it taught you the value of protecting your life because you only had a few of them, and when you died, it took you out for a long time.
Yeah.
Really important when you're one of the only resources for resurrection and heal.
And then there are just... But there are some problems.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely, there were problems.
Petrify. Oh my god, if you didn't have a healer, it just knocked you out the game.
Yeah.
Because only heal could bring you out of Petrify and put you into a frozen state.
Yep.
And then basically, if you didn't have a healer, you couldn't be freed
Yeah.
from that stone. You're dead.
No, that druid was an asshole because he was communing with that tree. And he was just sending out Petrify. You can't kill him. You can't hit him. You can't get out of it. But I also liked some of the interactions, like with Thornwall and like, you know, Flaming Arrow. You know,
Yeah.
Flame Arrow would turn into a flame wall, and if someone was frozen, you could cast Fireball, and that would thaw them and stuff like that. Like there was cool interactions between the spells that were more than what they are now, that lent themselves to the role play aspect, that lent themselves to quests, to camp
Yeah.
outs and those types of things that, you know, it was different. Yeah, it had its issues. Well, V8 still has its issues. Guess what? The next one is still gonna have fucking issues.
Yeah.
You know, and then as soon as we solve the problems for us, well, guess what? Now we have a whole new generation that's just gonna repeat. We're the old guard. Oh,
Yeah.
I never got to play V8. You know, like we're gonna
Yeah,
be
it'll
at
happen.
V12 and they're still not gonna give monks cloth armor.
Oh, I want that so bad.
Every monk ever. It's like you get Paragon Monk, congratulations, you beat the game in hard mode.
I don't know that I'd play any other class if Monk had even 1 point of armor.
Just that's it.
Yeah.
That's all we need. Then
Alright,
we could be relevant.
I have to use the restroom. Continue talking. I'll be back. And I'm going to get that water because I really need it. So I'll be right
I've
back.
almost drank enough for both of us at this point.
I appreciate the effort, but I just can't feel it.
Yep, no worries. Hey, were you able to eat what?
No, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
okay.
you can eat on
Go to the
stream. I don't
bathroom.
care.
You go eat.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of weird just eating on stream.
You can
Then
eat on
again, I
stream,
guess
but if you don't want to.
I've been drinking water this whole time.
that's a little different. I guess I can mute myself while I'm chewing and stuff. It wouldn't be
Yeah,
too
that's
bad.
fair. I'll make sure to ask you a question every time you take a bite.
Sounds about right. Your talk about V7 and like the little interactions with like Fireball, unthawing people and stuff like that made me want to talk to TJ a little bit about V9, maybe bring some of that back because that does sound like a lot of fun and it doesn't sound so complicated that it would be hard to understand. It's just kind of like common knowledge type
Hmm.
things like fire melts ice, like
Hmm.
fire
Yeah.
on bush makes fire. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. There was. Go ahead and mute yourself. I'll go on a small rant. Um. Yeah. Some people pay to see someone eat. That's funny. So when V7, because I actually started in the tail end of V6. Um, cloth covers were optional at the time. Yeah, we were at the park that I was at. We were fighting to get everyone to put nylons on their PVC fun noodle covered sticks because it slowed them down so much. This was also the Zulu spear era, where you take a golf club, you cover the last 8 inches with uh, you know, CF 1240 uh, up to where old school Fun Noodle was circumference wise, and then you do two wraps. CF 1240 is the sheets the like you put in between your dishes and stuff when you're packing. That was it. So the courtesy padding was two wraps of that. That was completely legal, and it was 8 inches at a 36 inch to 48 inch sword. So this scar and this scar. Yeah, we had our issues. The tech and all that stuff was leaning towards getting lighter. Um, because we still had pound per foot for our red weapons for big two-handers. Um, there were Barbarian had a self heal. It was eating greens. Um, the Kingdom Guild Masters actually meant something. Uh, where you had abilities specific to your class that when you were Kingdom Guildmaster of that class, it would take effect. So, um, what was it? So I believe it was Archer that you were able to shoot for 7 using longbow, and then Kingdom Guildmaster of Archers, your arrows did 7 points. Yeah, barbarians could use bows.
V6 and 7, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we were talking about. Is like some of the
I can
the
hear
precursor stuff.
you.
Um,
I would
but
love
yeah,
to see like Kingdom Guild Masters get a thing like that. Because like,
even within just the kingdom,
yeah,
that's
I
where it
mean it's something
matters.
so small and there's nothing like it'd be pretty easy to balance because you can just give low level stuff like or even like a once per game use of something, just anything, to make it mean a little bit of something.
Hmm.
And thinking about that, you could also I don't know if this would work very well because I just thought about it now, so I haven't really thought it through. But like for nobility titles, you could do something like that too, maybe like a
Hmm.
once a game. Because like if you're a noble out on the battlefield, you have more money than most people, so you probably bring more supplies.
I was
Speaking
able
of
to
that,
afford an enchanted sword.
Yeah, like stuff like that.
so I was at this camp out. I wish I could remember. I need to talk to Dog Boy because he would remember. But there was an event that we were gambling. We were gambling. Where it was when we had the gladiator fights. And if you had titles of nobility, you were given gold pieces at a certain ladder to the order of precedence. And so, for example, if you had Grand Duke, you got like 20 gold pieces or something like that. And that, like Lord was 1, blah, 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 all the way up. And so then, so there was the aristocrats, we called them. And then there was the pit fighters, or the gladiators. And how many orders of the warrior do you have? That's how many pieces of gold you were. And so if you are, a warlord, sir, da 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 da, you're worth 12 gold pieces. And, or if you want to get 12 first orders of the warrior and have them swarm that sword knight, and you would take your fighters, and you would go against other aristocrats and be like, I bet my fighter could beat your, fighters could beat your fighters. And it's like, okay, bet. And then the fights would commence, and it was kind of like imagine Highlander with like getting the strips, but you have to talk to their boss. You have to talk to their coach before you were able to fight them. And it wasn't always one-on-one. Sometimes it would be 3 or 4 people on one person, or 5 people on one person. And, that one person is warlord, sir, so and so. And so they're pretty decent, at fighting the plebs that were sent their way. But that was one of the only times that, like, having the title of nobility gave you the choice, gave you the option, and you actually won prizes. Like, you were brought drinks, you were able to sit closest to court and all that type of stuff. Like, you didn't get to sit where you wanted to. It was like, first couple of rows, no, that's titles of nobility. Their fighters can stand behind them, as servants would, or whatever. Then the rest of the peasantry is, out there doing their thing, and it was all in good fun. It was all in good fun.
It kind of gives me the groundwork for some ideas now. I was over here typing away a little bit while you were talking. Do some kind of or royal, not royal, nobility themed quest arena kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, and then
I'll
you get
workshop
to.
it. Thank you for the inspiration.
Oh yeah, no, like there's a reason why it's one of the core memories that I have during this era of this time, is because I was out there with my little 2 orders of the warrior trying to be somebody, and I got fucking spanked. I'm sorry for cursing, but I was like, "Hey, I can go. I can do the kaboosh." Done. And it's like, I didn't even get to throw my sword. Here's my gold pieces. Like, oh man, it was so much fun. I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to be the retired gladiator. If you're somebody who fought as a gladiator and all that stuff, and that was also one of the things, was that the winning fighter got to become an aristocrat the next time that they could choose to either be a fighter or be an aristocrat the next time. And so, like, V7 had room for that type of stuff. I mean, my first character was executed, my first persona. Um, that's when I changed my name to Requiem. Um, like, yeah, that persona is gone. And so the way that you comport yourself as a barbarian is different than your warrior. My warrior is refined. They are knowledge based, samurai, or, traditional Western soldier, however you want to play it up. And then when you're questing as your class, all right, you have to pay the toll to get over this. The druid's over there in the water talking to the fish that don't exist in the other side of this rope, asking if there's a way to get across. The barbarian is staring at you, trying to figure out if he can use your guard buddy as a bludgeoning weapon or if it counts as siege. You know, the bard is trying to talk and let them know that they actually need to pay us to grace them on the other side of this bridge. And this is in the middle of a fucking quest. Yeah, sometimes we fought. And then that's when all the class stuff would come into play. And we fought hard. But we also picked each other up and were absolutely laughing about it. It was kind of like we went out, we did the battle, and then we're talking for the next 30 minutes about how epic it was. Then let's go do it again. You know, that's what V7 was.
Yeah, I had some good times.
Mm. I'm not saying that like V9 can't be that. I just think that if you're going to be, it can be good at a lot of different things, but some of the rule set that we use is very centric to battle gaming. Some of it is very centric to lightsaber tag type games, where like the per refresh per life balance that these classes are designed around with each other. If a battle game takes 30 minutes, no refreshes, certain classes feel that a lot more than other classes. Some classes are designed around the use of armor for that battle game or for that time. It is not designed to be in a quest that takes 4 hours to complete.
Yeah.
You know, remember when we had the quests that would last multiple days? You know,
I
could you
remember,
imagine? Hello. Could you imagine being in 6 points of plate, walking through the forest trying to solve riddles? You know,
Torg could.
yeah,
That's Torg.
Torg and Klar.
Yeah. They'd be all right. They'd
I'll
manage.
pit, I'll pit your tin can against my tin can. But I don't know. I think it can be balanced in a way that can be conducive to both, or have the questing book, kind of like a module for Amtgard is these are how some ways that the classes can be uh, integrated into a more role play thing. You know, where if we are playing a quest, then a refresh happens automatically every 15 or 30 minutes. Basically, the length of a regular battle game.
Hmm.
So
It will
that
be.
way, oh, go ahead.
I think it will be interesting to see what V9 does because we're talking about having a more detailed quest section that's more than just here is a list of possible quest abilities,
Mm-hmm.
and a page or two. It sounded like they're going to get more in depth. I don't know how much they're going to balance it compared to like actual like battle games and stuff in the classes because I think we're in a fast paced world now, a fast paced game, and it's not going to go to a slower paced game. And quests are more slower paced than
Mm-hmm.
battle games. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they could balance that without modifying classes so they're a little different during quests. But then it gets really convoluted, and I don't think I'd want to see that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I would like the freedom to kind of tweak classes a little bit for quests, because that would open up some new areas for me. But I think it would be logistically a nightmare for the average player.
Well, I mean, do you remember like the Dorun Avatar and the Celestial Codex?
I remember the Door and Avatar. I don't know the Celestial Codex.
Angels and Demons
Hmm.
version of the door.
Hmm.
I mean, it worked in V7, especially like when we had duelist. You know, we had those alternate classes as well. It wouldn't be difficult to port over an alternate class to be used for quests.
Not necessarily. I think it would be an adjustment for a lot of the newer players, though. Which it's a new
I mean, they're
edition,
new.
so
They
why
don't know
not?
any different.
Well, when I say newer players, I mean people transitioning from 8 to 9 that haven't
Oh,
experienced 6 or 7. Like Critias, he's a newer player. I mean, you're not that new anymore, but you're still newer.
there it is.
Found it.
Found it. Yeah.
Am I still new? I've been in here for a while, I think.
Depends on what you consider old.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
I mean, was it the average lifespan of Amtgard is 3 years?
That's what I 3 or 4, yeah.
3 to 5 is a generation in this game.
Yeah. And you're in you're 5th year, 6th year?
7th.
7th?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Congrats, you're old guard.
Yay. That's why my back hurts all the time.
Yep, you're
Yeah.
new to us, but some new person is looking at you like you're looking at us. So, yep.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I don't know who the person was, and I wish I would ask their name because they're really nice. But I was fighting, I think it was a ditch line, and I killed someone, and they're like, "How long have you been playing this game?" I'm just like, 7 years. I'm like, makes sense, and then I walked away. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's a fairly long time. Like that was the first time I actually thought about it. I was just like dumbfounded right there in the middle of it.
Yep. That's so funny.
Requiem caused me
Hmm.
to have one of those moments, actually. We were at a
Yes,
night
I
circle,
did. Yes,
and we were
I
talking about
did.
the culture of the night circle and stuff like that. And I wasn't saying much. I was brooding in my little corner, and everyone's having their opinions and saying stuff. And out of nowhere, Rickums is like, "What about you, Baelnorn? You're the knight that's the oldest knight on the fucking circle right now." I was like, "What the fuck happened?" I looked around, and I realized, holy shit, I am the oldest knight at this meeting. It's like, when did that fucking happen? I didn't know what to deal with myself.
Yeah, you were
It was a
the
realization.
when you were the knight who had their built the longest. At that point, it was like,
I still felt new,
mm-hmm.
but I was not. Because usually, like, there's usually someone like Uriel around or Aurora or Terrarin, because they're still, they come out every once in a while and they
Mm-hmm.
come to Night Circle. Well, Uriel has been out for a while because of the pandemic. And anyways,
Mm-hmm.
but like usually Sarah's out there, but they haven't been out as much, or Terrarin's not out there as much. So yeah, it was me that time,
Mm-hmm.
and it blew my mind.
Baelnorn, we need you to come in and be the voice of reason. We're about to get agitated and rowdy.
I don't know if I can pull that off anymore. People hate me now.
Nah.
Well, more people hate me than they
Everyone
used to, anyways.
everyone's pissy at everyone. They're still coming out of fucking pandemic brain set. It's like, look, Facebook and Amtgard are not friends. I miss the
No, not
Yahoo
really.
groups. Like we got into our old, ESAM and all that. Like, look, bottom line, it was a treat coming out to park. When you got the information, oh hey, we're meeting up at this place. We're gonna all get in our van and we're gonna go raid these people. Cool. We rented out a bus and drove our stuff over to go a state over or whatever. Like, that's what the communication was. And we dealt with things in person because, that's how it worked. Um,
It
you
was
had to
definitely.
talk on the phone.
Oh yeah, phones.
Calling somebody up. I'm looking for Duke so and so. I'll be right with you. Yes, I am the Duke of so like yeah, that's how it went.
I never gave out my number. I didn't
Well,
want people calling me.
yeah.
I told them to email me. I had email, but yeah, the communication back then it was still
Dial up.
faster than pre-internet, but it was slower than what Facebook is because you had to go to Yahoo groups, and there was definitely a smaller online community than there is now.
Yep. I first started up with the dial up. So that's
Same.
where the whole dichotomy shifted. Actually, here's a question for each of you. Oh, this is a good one. Clips. How did you come to learn about Amtgard? When did you first start?
Chris, why don't you go? You're newer. You can go first.
All right. Um,
Might be
so
easier to remember.
yeah, I mean it is because it's like it's pretty simple. Role Models came out, that the movie about like, yeah,
Shit.
you already know. Yeah. Okay. And my
Oh.
brother and I don't remember how old I was. I was fairly young. Um, I don't remember when the movie came out, but like my brother and I was like, man, that looks really cool. We'd love to do that sometime. And it just kind of died there for a while. And then years later, I met Sativa and we got in a relationship. And we watched the movie together. I'm like, man, I still would want to do that. It still looks like a lot of fun. And she's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah. And without me knowing, she started looking things up, and she found Silver Moon because Cayenne was Monarch at the time, and he had put out ads, Facebook
Hmm.
ads, basically. And she found one. And she's like, "Oh, this place is, in Salem. You want to go check it out?" And I'm like, "Sure." I didn't even know this was a thing like that was around me, but yeah, sure. And we just so happened to come out on the day that was. I don't know if it was their coronation. They called it Baron's Day. I don't know if it was like an actual coronation or if it was just like a day that they were
I think it
celebrating.
was just he decided to call it Baron's Day as his day
Yeah.
to celebrate.
But there was like cooking competition, small tournament, stuff like that. So there was like it was a fairly good day to go for your first day because there was enough variety of things to like see what
Hmm.
was going on and all that. And I don't remember a whole lot about the day. I remember Sativa brought macaroni and cheese that was homemade and won that cooking competition, so that was pretty cool. Uh, I entered my first tournament that day, got smoked.
Mm.
It was a jester's cap tournament too, so it was like you pull what weapon set you're using.
Yep.
You know what I
Yep.
got?
Mm.
Sword and dagger.
Ah.
As a new guy, I didn't know what I was doing, but
Short round. That one's for you.
but yeah, that was my first day, and it was Silverman was decently big when I first started, and then like a few months after I started, it got huge.
Hmm.
Like
That
it
was a
was
big
like,
summer.
yeah. So I was honestly spoiled for my first like year.
Yeah, you
Like,
were.
yeah,
You really were. I don't know
but
if Requiem came down. We were pulling 90, 100 person days.
it was like gigantic. Like I thought it was normal because like I had watched that movie. I'm like, oh, it's just like this is how it works.
Hmm.
No, I just dumb luck somehow started when things were getting good. I guess. Um,
Right
That
place, right
Pokemon
time.
helped.
yeah, yeah. I actually owe my joining of this club to my wife and Cayenne.
Well, big shout out to Cayenne and Minerva.
Yep.
Hmm. What about you, Baelnorn?
All right, so I was 14. I was walking through the park in McMinnville, saw some LARPers, and like that sounds cool. My dad kind of talked about them, but I didn't play or anything like that. Just kind of watched. Didn't really know what was going on. Speed up 2 years. I tell my friends about it, and we're playing sword fighting with PVC and just pipe insulation, like
Hmm.
the half-inch stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and then my friend
Duct
comes
tape.
like, yeah, well, we actually use clear tape.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, revolutionary lighter. But no, it was not safe. But we weren't playing Amtgard yet. My friend Roy comes in. He says, there's this guy at the comic book store. He's telling us about Amtgard. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot about Amtgard. We could do that. And so the guy at the I go talk to the guy at the store and like organize our first Amtgard day in Newburgh, and we show up with our weapons, and he's like, those are not legal. And so then then he showed us some legal ones, and we fought that day for a while. Yeah, that was
Were
the
those ones
first
cloth covered at
day.
the time?
He had cloth covers, but some people were still using duct tape
Mm-hmm.
covers.
Yeah.
But the first time, like, because I started a little bit differently than Chris. I don't know about you, but since Requiem, but we started my friends started our own park together, and so we were right in between VSR and Mystic Seas. So we had to choose which kingdom to join, and they didn't know that we existed. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but we knew they existed. And sometimes they'd use our park in Newburgh for their like inter-kingdom battles. So one
Mm-hmm.
day they show up to do this big like kingdom first kingdom stuff, and we show up to watch,
What
and they're
game are
like,
you guys playing? Amtgard. No, we're not. No,
yeah.
we're playing Amtgard.
We didn't really participate, but that's the day that they found out that there was actually a holding there, and then we worked on getting part of the actual part of Amtgard and stuff like that. But yeah,
That's
that was
funny.
99, I think.
Mm. Oh shoot. Huh.
Hmm.
Oh, I know. I was just thinking back. That's funny.
How'd you
Well,
start?
I was a student at the Vancouver School of Arts and Academics, and we did something on Mondays called Monday Workshop. So our block structure was very weird. It was a middle school and high school combined in this building. That was the old Chumway High School. Um, and so I was there. I was a triple major. I was a visual, music, and theater slash performing arts. And so I was taking all these different classes. There's the academics you were obviously a part of that you had to do, but then your electives, you were able to pursue things much like in college, starting in, you know, right out of elementary school. You're able to pick and go, go through. And we would have, I remember like when I was in music and Oboati came and was teaching us how to use traditional African drums, and we did. I learned how to play the didgeridoo during this Australian thing, how to make with the beeswax and all that stuff, and then how to do circular breathing and that type of stuff. I'm still god awful at it, but every time I use up a roll of material, I always do, like do my little war horn and call it good. But all this to say that so Deepwater Glen at the time. This was 2000. Um, Deepwater Glen was out at Leverage Park. They had somehow convinced the faculty that Amtgard was theater. It was theater combat, and it was a role playing and getting into character and acting out these. They moozed them to where I was able to get credits for my theater for for and, and then they bring their weapons and all that stuff, and then we're just out there fucking playing amped guard during school for 4 hours
That's
every
fucking awesome.
Monday. And so yeah, we're playing amp guard at school and getting credit for it. And that's where I started, was at my school. And then they were like, hey, so we also do this on the weekends. And it took me a couple of months to get my parents warmed up to the idea because I was like 80 pounds at the time. Like I was itty bitty. I was tiny. And so Tubbs was actually a math teacher for Hudson's Bay, I want to say, one of the high schools in the area. He had a full leather get up, and his shield cover was made out of leather, all tooled, and his everything was just gorgeous, gorgeous. So I'm all of 10 years old, 11 years old, and he's like, okay, here's a suit of chainmail. Wear this. It's like 50 pounds. So weighs almost as much as me. It was about as long as I was tall. So, okay, this is the fighting field. Go run to the other side and back. I'm going to talk to your mom. Okay, that's fine. So I ran out there and I'm just like, I get to play, I get to play, I get to play. Like, okay, now I'm going to hit you the way that we hit each other out here, and we'll see if you can take it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. He takes a pole arm and he no mercy murder chops me in the chainmail. Full on, boom. And then I got the wind knocked out of me, and I'm breathing, I'm getting up. I said, well, tell me when you're going to start. It's like, yeah, he can play with us. So they took the chainmail off, and I was given a pole arm so I could reach normal people's height,
That's nice.
and a two-handed bastard sword, which was as tall as me. It was about the size of like a long at our size, a little bit longer than a long. Because we were still using the double-ended glaive with tube sock tech with the PVC, and then there was like 3 Zulu spears, which were also javelins, which were also um, but yeah, that's how I started. Was they brought it to my school. It somehow got adopted into the theater program. Um, and then when I moved, there was actually a period where we couldn't find Amtgard. Couldn't remember what it was called, couldn't remember what it was. So when I moved back from Texas back to Vancouver, I was so excited. I went out there, everyone was gone.
No.
That was after Black Spire became a thing. And uh yeah, DWG was dead the first time. Then Smoking Jack picked it up again, and then it died again. And then YL, myself, D'Artagnan, started meeting up, and this is when Leverage Park was becoming a disc golf course. And so we had to move over to where we are now, Orchards Park, and then that's when the name change happened and all that stuff. But yeah, sorry, I was just that was just
Sounds like
when
a
you
good
were talking
memory.
about like 99 2000, that year is when that happened. That happened over here on this side of the river. This is what happened over here on this side of the river
Yeah.
around that same time.
Yeah, that's
So,
wild. Yeah, Lord Knox. LARP does sound fun, doesn't it? I've enjoyed it enough that I've been playing it for more than half my life, which is kind of wild.
mhm. What's
You
your
always find
favorite
something
thing
new.
about Amtgard?
Me?
Yeah,
Uh,
and you.
um, I usually always say the fighting, but some of it is leaned more towards community. But at the heart of it, I still conceptually love the fighting aspect.
Mm-hmm. You like the people and you like being able to hit the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think I'm probably there too, but I might honestly say the battle gaming. Because if I was just wanting to fight, I would definitely go to Bell.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about like being able to fight and also have this other thing that I can do that's like a different skill set, but also the same in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't. It's just more fun to have both. Like sometimes I want to fight, sometimes I want to just go out there and yell at people and have them explode.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Um, so I, as much as I love fighting, and I truly think it's like my most enjoyable thing that I do in the game, I still think that battle gaming might just be a tad bit more favorable for
Mm-hmm.
me, which is kind of weird. I never really thought about that till now.
Oh, wow.
One's your talent, one's your passion.
Well, I don't know, cause like I adore fighting. Like I was thinking about like if battle gaming wasn't in this game, I'd still be in it because I like to fight. If
Mm-hmm.
fighting wasn't in the game, I'd still be in it because I like to battle game. But when I think about like which one do I have more fun in, it might be battle gaming, and I think that comes down to having it be with other people though,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have my first friend group was from this game. I was like 16, so I'm like no, I was oh I don't know, I was young, young but old, like to not have friends if that makes sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
I never had any. That my only people I ever hung out with were like my cousins or something. So when I think about it, actually, pretty much what you said, Baelnorn. Like, I love the fighting, I love all that, but community-wise, it's there's something special about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick answer to Nox's question: what battle gaming is? Battle gaming is an Amtgard. Our LARP that we play
I'll
is
be
where
right
we get to
back.
play classes. So we get to play wizard and monk, and it's where we get our special abilities. And the games that we play them are called battle games. We play non-battle games, and we don't get to use classes where it's just foam fighting. So we designate between the two, like by calling them battle gaming.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely had my time where I really enjoyed playing them. Like, there's a reason why people I got bumped up to 8. It's because I used to battle game back in V6, V7 all the time. And then just V8 came around and it's like really hard to learn everything. Like, I still can't say the healing can't without saying the old one half the time. Uh, but I made an effort to learn Druid, and I got alright at Druid. I plan on moving on to Wizard, but then the pandemic happened, and I kind of stopped battle gaming.
You just so happen to pick the best class the first time.
Yep. Well, it could do everything I wanted to do. Sometimes I wanted to fight. Sometimes I just want to sit there and hand out enchantments. So it was the best of both worlds. Barbarian used to be my class back in the day.
Yeah. Objectively, I think I just can't see any class better than Druid. Because you're right, it can do literally anything.
And sometimes they can do it better than other classes.
Yep.
So Lord Nox asked, so is battle gaming like a turn-based battle? I think I saw them do it at a Life is Strange game. No, it's actually really fast-paced. People running around and attacking each other. It's more like League of Legends kind of a thing about it, where it's PvP and there's objectives like hold the base or capture the flag. The games can vary widely, but they're usually objective-based PvP games that are pretty fast-paced.
It's like a combat sport meets a team-based objective game is the
Yeah.
the best way that I can describe it. It's kind of like what they do with hockey, with football, and basketball at the same time. That's what we call goblin ball.
I love Goblin Ball.
So, like, we can continue talking. I'm having a good time, but it has reached our scheduled 3 hours. So, what do you guys feel like?
I mean, I'm down for a little bit.
Yeah, I can stay a little bit longer too. Probably
All right.
11:30 is probably the latest I can
Yeah,
stay though.
let's do 11:30 cutoff.
All right. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Cause I got
So,
board of directors stuff to do tomorrow.
oh shit, yeah, I have Amtgard tomorrow. I don't always go to Amtgard after one of these nights because I usually stay up drinking with my brother, but I probably won't do that this time.
I don't always
Um.
go to Amtgard after Friday night, but when
uh,
I do,
so I heard rumor, Critias, and you don't have to talk about this because it's your own fighting company private stuff. But do you have practice tomorrow too?
Uh, not that I've been made aware of.
Oh, I was told you did. You might.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, maybe I won't show up at 11 after all.
Hang on, I can check.
Because I wanted to. Because Dagon might be showing up. Because yes, Blue was mentioning it last Sunday that you guys might have practice. He wasn't sure either. Um,
I know we talked about it because we were gonna have practice the day we ended up helping with that quest.
hmm.
So we talked about moving it, but I don't think we ever set that in stone.
Oh. Well, I appreciate you guys
Oh, nope, I
stopping.
lied.
Oh, is there?
As of 2 hours ago, uh, yep, 11 tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, that sucks. I gotta get up earlier now.
Oh no.
How far
And
is this
there's a
drive?
BOD meeting in the morning too.
mm-hmm.
We're gonna
Is
be
that at
fighting
11?
straight through that. I just hope you know, like, as you guys are talking, we're just gonna go right through
Oh
you
no,
guys.
I'm gonna move the BOD meeting so that way I can participate in both because that's the opportunity for a fighting class right there.
Yeah,
This is just official business that has to do with making sure we can legally run as a nonprofit. I can spar. I'm just the secretary. I can keep notes and die at the same time. I'm very
Yeah,
good at that,
that's what recorders are for.
right?
So I'm
hour and
I'm curious,
20.
Chris. I haven't been to a practice since the practice that I did or showed the two man, not the two man, but the group fighting tactics.
Yeah.
And because you were wanting to work more on group fighting tactics, I don't know. Have you guys worked any more on them since then?
Um, Strategy wise and like stuff like that, no. We've we do our drill thing where it's like an offset number of like, so there's like 4 people here against 3 people here. We do that so because it makes us work together, or we're outnumbered, we're gonna die type of thing. But that's pretty
Right.
much all we've been doing. I keep trying to have people tell me what they want to learn more about because it's harder for me to. I'm supposed to plan these, but it's hard to plan when I don't know what people want to do. Because like, there's always stuff I can fall back on, but I don't know how much it's actually helping them, type of thing. So
Mhm.
if they
Would
tell
you?
me what they want, I can organize a practice around that type of stuff. But nobody's really told me much about that. TJ said like last month, I think he wanted to work on footwork stuff, and we did that the next practice after he told me that, and then we just haven't had anybody else bring anything up since then.
Can I give you a
Mm.
suggestion?
Sure.
Um, don't wait for them to tell you. Just look what you think people should learn and organize it because that's half of leadership is figuring out what people want even when they don't know what they want themselves.
I mean, I can
Um,
pinpoint stuff out, but like putting it so most people, like most of us, need to learn different stuff. So it's like, how do I plan a practice around like 15 different things, if that makes sense? Like, give enough time to each one of those for it to help and not just like blow through something. And sometimes
yeah.
those things are, they require stuff that's not really fun, like drills that are kind of boring and stuff like that. So I try to have some fun in our practice. So I also have to try and balance that out. Most of the time, people get there late. So instead of an hour, we usually have like 45 minutes
Mm.
max, sometimes less. So it's a lot of different things that make it hard to make the practice like a good practice, I guess. And I know the one thing that we all, at least that everyone seems to enjoy, and that does at least help somewhat in areas, is our uneven numbers ditch, basically.
Um, Taking that and combining it with something that I mentioned at the previous practice before is the mindfulness. So maybe instead of just going wave after wave, kind of like a ditch, like after a fight or two, analyze what you guys did. So you could talk about what you could have done better that fight. So it combines the activity, but focuses a little bit more on thinking about how to improve the situation.
So we kind of have that, not
Oh,
super in
okay.
depth, because it's kind of quick pace. Because like the idea is, I'm gonna take that, by the way, because that's a good idea to have it more in depth. But what we do right now is like we have people rotate in and out, but we always have an offset number, and we have 3 rounds of those teams. And in those 3 rounds, the idea is the team that has less people needs to win at least once, or we do some like push-ups or something. Like it varies depending on what it
Mm.
is, but it's like an incentive to not lose, basically. And between those rounds, so like if they lose, while we're all going back to our starting spots, the idea is the lower person team is supposed to kind of strategize real quick, because it's kind of like you're in the heat of things. You can't stop and like talk. You need to be able to quickly come up with something, try it out, and see if it works, type of thing.
Mm.
So we do that fairly often when we run that practice, because like we have some decent fighters, so having more people on one side, it's tough sometimes. Like I struggle hard with it a lot, just because like I'm proud of my company. We've come a long way, and there's a lot of good fighters.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. You have.
So, but talking about it afterwards, more in depth, might actually be really helpful too. So I'll definitely try that.
And
Yeah.
I've got a drill
Mm,
for cardio if that's ever something that they need to work on.
Uh, I mean, it couldn't hurt. What you got?
It's a ditch. You set up 2 5-gallon buckets about 30 feet behind each line, and that's their base. So when you die on one side, you immediately go and tag in on the other side's base, and you're alive. It's a continuous ditch. It goes until one side's completely wiped out.
Okay.
But people, you have to travel to tag in alive, and then you have to run to get back to the fight, and you're going until you're not anymore. So,
There's a game I don't know if Tony came up with it or if he found it somewhere, but we ended up calling it Upchuck because someone threw up after we ran it. But it was there's a small shield in the center. Everyone has a single sword, and the idea is everyone's against everyone until someone picks up that shield, and then everyone's against that person. And
I like that a lot.
the
That's
way
pretty
to
cool.
win is you have to be the guy with the shield, and you have to kill everyone without dying. Otherwise, it just keeps going until someone somehow does that.
That sounds fun.
That's wild.
It's a lot of fun, but oh my gosh, is it tiring? Especially because like anytime we do it, we never have a max small. It's always like these little dinky small, like
Mm,
small shields. So
Of
it's like,
course.
small shield.
yeah, it's like barely anything there. A lot of fun though.
Baelnorn, were
Hmm.
you there the event that Danny got knighted at Mystic Seas?
Was it a kale? Was it a regular practice? Because I don't
I
think I
don't
was.
I don't remember. I think it might have been a KLE.
I remember it was after I
Like,
was king. Not that long after I was king, I think I was
yeah,
taking my
Lucifer was
sabbatical.
regent.
That was my sabbatical. I stopped playing every week. It was like I came out every other week instead. But
Okay.
yeah, no, I don't. I don't think I was there for Danny's.
The reason why I ask is they played a zombie game, where it was I can't remember if it was a class game or not, but there was like five, there was like five infected, and then it was the rest of the kingdom on this giant soccer field. And if one of the infected killed you, you became infected. And so it was like a big slush pool of Fox across, basically. But so, people were, so it was these five people running into this giant army, and the army running away, and then slowly getting picked off and all that stuff. And then there was some people that were archers that were just mean, that were taking out the legs of their friends and stuff like that.
Sounds
But
like wild time.
yeah. No, we're just talking about games and drills and reminiscing and all that type of stuff. And just, I could imagine you guys as a fighting company now in that, be like, that'd be interesting. I'd love to transplant some of the V8 players into some of those games.
Yeah. We've played a game like that in Silverman a couple times in the last couple. Well, before the pandemic, we did. Where there's an infected and they kill them, they get their people on their team, but it wasn't so big that we'd have five infected.
Dark, what was it, Overlord or Dark Lord or something
Overlord or
like that?
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
that sounds
remember
right.
that.
Yeah, sounds similar. Critius, what's your favorite battle game style?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Um, hmm.
Well,
I like,
maybe. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
You've got an answer.
Kind of an answer. I
Yeah.
like games that have longevity to them, I guess. I don't I like Ring the Bell, but it's like not my favorite type of game. I like ones that take a while to win or lose, regardless, because I don't know, it just seems more fun that way. It's fun to be fast paced and stuff, but it's also like a lot of games that are structured that way. If you can wipe out the team, regardless of what the objective is, you can almost always get it before people start respawning.
Right.
And that's sometimes a death count slash timer of objective issue. But like
Mm-hmm.
even without that problem, like I don't know, I like games where it's like, how do I explain it? Like this past Kaylee, we had one where we moved Torg. I think he was like the objective, and you had to have a hand on him to walk him to the enemy base.
Mm-hmm.
But because he walked so slow, there was plenty of time for people to pop back up. But it was also chaotic enough to where people wouldn't sometimes focus on the objective. They would just try to kill other people. So
Mm-hmm.
you'd have these scenarios where there's like a handful of people from this side alive versus a handful of this side alive, and then one team would have people start popping back up, and then there's like this little panic of the other side of like, okay, we got to hold them off before they get too far. And it was like a back and forth between that. It was perfectly paced in a way that you could wipe a team out and there would be enough time for them to come out. So instead of wiping the entire team, you had to take out key players first, or take out stragglers first, and then move the objective some, and then take the rest of them out. Otherwise, everybody's gonna come back at once, and it's just gonna
Mm-hmm.
all your progress is gonna be gone.
Got to stagger it.
Yeah, and it was really interesting to see that because it took a minute for me to catch on to that too, because like I'm so used to just wipe the team, then we can go do things,
Mm-hmm.
that after like a few times of Torg being 3/4 of the way there, 3/4 of the way back, I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. What are we doing wrong? And then I kind of like slowly noticed, okay, it's because everybody's popping up at the same time. So we'd have to wipe them out twice. But like that's not the easiest thing to do because some of our guys are going to be dead. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know, stuff like that where it's made in a way that it'll take you a little bit to get there unless you really strategize with your team because that's a very team-based thing right there. Like you can't do that one alone.
Right.
And I think that's what more battle games should focus on. There shouldn't be one guy that like wins the game. It should be a group effort.
Right.
Um, so anything that's kind of that way, I think would be my favorite type of game, if that
All right,
makes kind of sense.
it does. So something I was thinking about while you're trying to think about what the game was, maybe another way to look at it is what game doesn't get played very much that you'd like to see played more often? You've been around long enough. I think you've seen a variety of games in your Amtgard career.
Um, I I kind of like the idea of 3 teams. Like I know you ran, was it a capture the flag
Is like
or a whole?
the Thief game.
Yeah, where it was like 3 teams and there was something you had to. I don't remember
Yeah.
the objective.
Oh, it was you're supposed to steal the fire from the the monster in the middle and take it back to your
Mm.
base and hold it for a couple seconds.
That's right.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
but it was 3 teams, so it felt
Yeah.
really stressful. Um,
It
yeah,
looked really stressful.
I like the idea of the 3 team aspect because it's like everybody's even at first, and then once someone gains the upper hand, it's like now you got double the people coming after you.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of ends up in the same thing. It's like, how do you space this out to where you have enough people to defend you, type of thing. Um, I also really enjoy Valley of the Hill Giants. We played that last Kaylee, and it was the first time we played that in a long time. And that's just the game where it's like it's literally any game you want, except there's a few guys with these giant yoga balls throwing them at everybody, and they act as siege weapons when they hit.
Yeah.
And I don't. It's so funny to watch people just get so focused on fighting, and then this just giant ball just. I love it.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was super happy that one came back because I really did miss it.
That
I was
does sound
thinking,
fun.
I might start trying to help Torg out with some battle games this summer, just to get back into the habit because I haven't done it on a semi-regular basis in a long time. Dip my toes back into something besides recording video.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, you gave me some ideas. Freaking Asa gave me the next idea for some kind of convoluted arena quest.
Aristocrats deck.
Yeah, man, I'm getting ideas. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, something I didn't mention, but I actually started fighting again. Like
Good for
last
you.
week, 2 weeks ago, I said Gustav was at the park and he's like, "You're going to fight Baelnorn," and he didn't give me a choice. So then I fought, and then I fought last Sunday with against Miri and some people. So I'm not like gonna like make a run for Warlord or something like that, but um, try to play every weekend a little bit, spar a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
awesome.
get a little healthier. My range was terrible. Miri was just slaughtering my arm
Oh,
for the first half.
she gets me a lot too. She has
She,
so much reach.
she
And
does, and
she's
she's
like,
just
go ahead.
I like she's just starting to learn how to use it.
Hmm. That's the
It's
tricky part because she's not the kind of experience where like you can kind of anticipate what the ideal thing to do is,
it's
but
fluid control.
she's smart enough to know
Mm-hmm.
enough of that to where she can still get you without you understanding exactly how, type of thing. She's tricky. I'm proud of her. She's come a long way.
Yeah, she has. She doesn't realize it, which is
Nope,
frustrating.
you
But I
never
mean,
do.
you didn't either for a
Mm-mm.
long time.
I wholeheartedly believe you are the only person that doesn't see your progress when it comes to this type of thing.
Yeah, it's difficult. Part of it's the imposter syndrome, I think, everyone
Yeah.
gets. So I think we're close enough to 11:30. This seems like a good ending. Unless you guys had something else to say.
I mean, there's battle games that I wouldn't mind see coming back.
Oh yeah. Tell us about what battle games that you like to see again.
Jugging.
Jugging.
No, I think the reason I love it is because it's been the same for the last 20 years.
Yes.
I do like what you were saying with the 3-way battles. I got to participate in one last, what was it, NLCC? Was the one up in up north in Washington? Yeah,
Was
that would
The
be
one up to the
NLCC.
Pathfinder
Florp
Yeah,
Fest?
yeah,
Center. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah, so they had the 3 teams with this weird convoluted thing in the middle that was walls but not walls, and that was so damn well done.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. And I got to play defense on one of the points, and like there were some good plays. Like there were some clutch plays. There were some uh, I mean, people were going hard, and it was very much that if you don't have battlefield awareness, you develop it real quick or you die.
And those first like 3 rounds, I died because of arrows of the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would get so focused on what I'm doing. And this, I don't know how he found me, but no matter where I was, I'd just get an arrow on the side and I'd look down and I'd look at the direction it came from, and it was the same dude.
Was
I'm
it the
like,
green overcoat and the hat?
I think so,
Cole.
actually. The hat sounds very familiar.
Yep, that's Cole. That's
Oh no,
funny.
I know Cole. I remember seeing him. He did get me a few times, but it wasn't the person that I'm
Okay.
thinking of. Because the person I'm thinking of, I have no idea who they were. They were a good shot though.
Was it an older gentleman?
No, they look pretty young. To be
Okay.
honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if they were like new-ish, because like they didn't have like they looked young. They didn't have super detailed garb, but they had like
Was it the
garb.
young man with the longbow, like the traditional English longbow?
Possibly he was
Okay,
on
fair enough.
the
We can look through pictures sometime.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what team colors. There was red, blue, and yellow, and I think he was on. I don't remember. I don't remember
Well,
which colors were which.
I generally like that type of stuff piques my interest as someone who's played monk for so long. If there's a ranged combatant that somehow got to that spot and was able to get me with range, because just reflexively, you know, hand block, or weapon block, or whatever, missile block. If an archer's actually able to get me, it's like props. So like hearing you being like this one dude, I'm just like, who is it? I have a new target now.
Oh yeah. After that third time, I'm like, all right, that guy's my focus after this. Nothing else. Because like
Uh,
I just couldn't go anywhere without him finding me somehow, and he was always outside of my peripheral, so I never
mhm.
knew it was coming. Because I have decent like peripheral and decent awareness of like stuff coming at me.
Mhm.
Never saw it coming every time. So the next time I came alive, I just darted towards that dude. I'm like, you're dying. You have to die right now.
I would say um for a good battle game design that I really enjoy are castle battles, bridge battles, a attack and defense with X. So like it's what is it that they do at Keep, where you have to break down the door, fight through the castle, take down their flag, and raise up your flag. And however long it takes for those things to happen, that's your point. And then you switch sides, and now you have to defend, and they're trying to beat your time. It has the combat, it has the objective, it has the strategy, it has the one versus ones that can happen, and it has the fighting company on fighting company. It has the kingdom on kingdom. Like, when I went down to Gathering of the Clans, there was hundreds and hundreds of people. Just arrows flying, spell balls, all sorts of crap. Like, there's a certain level of chaos, and it's organized chaos when it's like, okay, have to get the door down. Okay, now we're in. Now, to the, like, everyone understands, and it doesn't take like 45 minutes to explain the rules. It's get here, do this, do this, do this. There may be some chaotic stuff. There may be a third party. Like the three-way battle thing is like one person or one team has a 5-minute head start. So they have 5 minutes to get this door down. All right, third team comes in from the side. So now they're trying to get in. They have another force coming in from the side. Like, all right, now let's add chaos. After 5 minutes, it's chaos. Go.
That sounds really fun. I really want to go to one of those campouts at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll still tentatively plan for Keep next year.
Yeah.
I would go. That'd be a lot of fun. We need to get a group of like just have the envoy of knights from Black Spire and Northern Lights and just show up. There's like 40 of us. Where's all these knights come from? The North.
That'd be wild.
The wet and green North. Yeah, because isn't Keep down near what, Tennessee? It's like
That sounds right. It cycles between 3 states ish, I think. The 3 kingdoms, anyways. I'm gonna Keep up really quickly.
I think the closest I fought near there was when I was fighting in Nebraska down at the Ivory Spire, which I thought the name of that holding was rather ironic.
Where's that at?
Oh, down in Nebraska? Oh, what was the name of that town? I was down there helping my friend move. When her husband passed, I was packing up her house, and it was on the weekend, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go take a break for a little bit. That cool? And she's like, oh yeah, that's fine. I drove out to their holding, and hey, this looks fun. Can I play? You have to move out of state and go someplace completely different for that to work anymore.
Actually, I think it's Indiana.
Is it Indiana?
Yeah, I think so. It's Rising Winds, Tal de Gore, and this is another kingdom. Polaris. It's a joint event between those 3, and I think that's Indiana area. I could be wrong. It's just a quick Google. But yeah, either way, it's far away, and we got to plan for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm also.
It would be fun to see the change in culture. What's the same? What's different?
Yeah.
Shut up, Siri. Not talking to you.
I'm interested to see what their night circles are like because I've only experienced the Northwest. To see how messed up everyone else's circles are. Everyone's circle's messed up.
I went to my first Knights meeting at NLCC. And
Oh no.
Ornimus is like, "Hey, you coming to this meeting?" I'm like, "I don't know. It'd be my first one. It feels weird having my first one at a different kingdom." He's like, "No, you're gonna want to come to this one." And I'm like, "Okay, is there a reason?" He's like, "No matter how bad yours are, at least you'll know ours are just as bad, if not worse."
Yep.
I'm like, "Okay."
And
And I
that
went
one was.
there. It was awesome. That was so much fun. I they handed out Mike's Hard, so I got like very very slightly buzzed to the point to where I was just relaxed and I got
Mhm.
to see all this chaos happen
Mhm. And you're like, this
while I had nothing to do with it.
nothing to do with it.
And I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing. This is fun."
There was yelling in that one.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes, there was.
uh,
Well, because it's the tradition of the baby night to bring beer to the night's meeting.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yep. So whoever the latest night was to bring in, or if it's multiples like in the same event, they generally will, do that. Like I'd brought, since we were meeting at a public park at the next night's meeting that I brought root beers,
Okay.
you know.
I, I like that.
But, just because I'm not gonna bring alcohol to a park on a regular park day. It works a lot better when it's campouts and,
Hmm.
you know, beer is probably the closest thing to water that these individuals have had in the last like 10 hours. So
Yep.
I brought a bottle of wine from my grandma's vineyard for everyone that was at the night circle. So everyone got their own bottle of wine.
Dang, fancy.
Yeah, it was all free, so it's easier when it's free.
I
The
don't
night
know
circle
how
is.
it tasted, but it
Oh, it was
was
actually
really
pretty good. It was also a lot less nights, if that matters.
good. Yeah, that's funny. Has it been has it sunk in yet, Crit?
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on what you mean. It's just like, what exactly do you mean?
I remember for me, it didn't sink in until my first event where I was in all the regalia and I was washing my hands and I looked up in the mirror and I saw myself in the mirror with the white belt and the chain and my garb. And I was like, I made it. That's when it sunk in. Like, I was in shock for. Thank goodness we recorded most of my ceremony. But I remember crying about not knowing how to get the trunk home.
That, well, you had an extra large one.
But, like, has it sunk in that you've made it, that you're there, that part of your journey? Because I remember we were talking vigil of, what it meant, or, like passing on the wisdom and stuff like that. And I said I was going to talk to you about, after down the line and see what your thoughts were now that you're 15 paces past the finish line of this part and the next race is about to start. How are you feeling?
Um, Part of me feels no different.
Hmm.
For two reasons. One reason is I don't want to let myself get into a mindset of like I've made it, because once
Hmm.
I do that, I get lazy and then I stop doing certain things. So that's part of the reason I don't like nothing feels different, which I'm fine with. Like that's perfectly fine for me.
Hmm.
And then the other part is because I don't know how to really describe that part. Um, it feels weird to say, but I guess I can quote someone on it. I guess because like
Mhm.
Dagon was the one that pointed it out, but someone had asked me like how it felt, and I told him like it really doesn't feel any different, because it was like week or two after I'd been knighted, and then Dagon was like just walking by and chimed in. He's like, "That's because you've been knightly this entire time,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Thanks, Dagon. That means a lot." But I don't I don't like to say that very much because it feels
It's different when someone
wrong.
else is saying it
Yeah,
about
Yeah.
you.
yeah. But that made me feel really good about things. So, and
Mhm.
it also helped me feel a little bit better on like why it doesn't feel different.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't feel different about the game in any way because I've always wanted to help people get better at fighting. I just wasn't able to because I wasn't good at it. So now that I'm okay at it, I can help other people. So that feels good.
Mhm.
What has changed is I understand how our circle operates. I've read the charter. I understand what we do, and I'm trying to think of how to put this
Be
Blunt.
brutal.
It's
blunt.
11:40. Let's do
Okay,
this.
I want to. You want brutal, honest, or you just want like
It's me.
I want to burn it.
Mhm.
I want to burn it and I want to fix it.
Good. Do it.
I want it like there are some things that we do that are good. They're helpful, but I think the majority of what's in our charter, you could take that out and tweak it a little bit, and it becomes a lot better. Because my main issue with knights, and this isn't really revealing anything about the charter that no one knows about. My main issue with our knight circle is why are people that are already in this circle dictating what other people should be in this circle when the idea of the circle is they're a circle of the people?
Mhm.
Why do the people have no say in or like voice of what happens? And I've thought about this a little bit, and it's hard to like do that in a way that isn't going to cause problems. But at the same time, right now we have problems too. Like there's no perfect solution. It's I can talk to you probably more about this in person because like I'm not
Mhm.
supposed to say certain things, but like the bare like basic part of it is I want our kingdom populace to have some voice of some sort on who they not who gets to, but who they feel should be in the night circle.
They do. In a way that has become much more popular lately. Um, but they can vote for removal of belts.
They can. The issue with that is even when
Other than
there,
the negative connotation of like taking away something that someone has earned, or this lifetime achievement award that it's been viewed as, you know. Just I see what you're saying, and I'm pointing this out one because we're also on a broadcast and the conversation needs to be had. But, you know, there's you kind of want to put the ball in front where they have a voice to get people up into that circle, which then I say, well, the award recommendation page is kind of like that.
a little bit, but I think there's the issue of like separating masterhood and knighthood. It's like
Hmm.
a lot of people don't separate those. So the recommendations you get are people. This isn't necessarily a bad thing either, but it's mostly people that are friends with the person,
Hmm.
which makes sense. Like,
They
duh,
see
that's
it.
who's
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but that also leads to some bias sometimes.
Mhm.
So
Well, and bias can also go hard the other way as well.
exactly.
You
So
know, people would be like, "Hey, my buddy did this." Then there's also the ones that are too hard on their friends.
yes, 100%. I sat down and thought about this for quite a while because like I all these like I had that thought. And I had a few other things of like, okay, well this would be an issue, or well maybe this could work, but then we'd have to do this type of stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I actually want to bring it. I thought about bringing it just to straight to the circle, but I wanted to probably bring it to more open people first, I guess, to see
Mhm.
what they thought and see like where the holes in it are that I'm not seeing because I guarantee you there are some.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, there's not much I can say right now, but I
Okay.
definitely
Well, we
I,
can
I
we can
I've
discuss it tomorrow.
yeah, and I'm not fully like done with the idea of things. I just have like a basic gist of what I want to accomplish.
Well, and if you're
And
looking for constructive criticism, then that's also something as well.
yeah,
And I hear what you're saying. I prefer there to be structure than not
mhm,
because the way that it was conceived as a good boys club, the good old boys club versus what people think we do versus what we actually do, um, is something that I would like things to be more transparent in some aspects. In other aspects, there's not really much need for transparency.
yeah,
Um, just because there's not very many places that the mantle of responsibility can be set down for a moment and we can just be people and talk. Um, but that's also a different conversation. Um, no, I'd be more than willing to sit down with you and go over that. I mean, similar to what happened with the latest proposals and stuff as well. So,
I got opinions about that. I should probably post them.
mhm.
But
Yes, please have discussions on the page before the meeting so that way we don't waste time at the meeting.
yeah. Something to go
Use
with. Yeah.
use the boards for the boards things. I've been trying to make posts.
Yeah.
Fear Night
posting
of
scares me
Blackspire.
though, because like
Do it.
tone gets completely lost. So like you could ask something completely like just normal and someone will take it the wrong way. So it's very nerve-wracking to post.
Yeah. I
Uh,
get that.
and that's actually where Uriel and I where I did some clarification and stuff as well because I was like, "Hey, look, I know you. Is this the way that this was meant to be received? Because this is the way that I saw it, this is the way that I took it, this is how it could be perceived." And getting that clarification. Most of us who are knights are at least mature enough to be able to tell you whether or not we were meaning for you to be offended.
It takes
You
a
know,
lot to offend me, so I'm not worried about myself getting offended.
challenge accepted.
Or-
If I can offend you, then would you recommend me for Paragon Anti-Paladin?
Sure.
Yes. Goals. No, just kidding.
So, something that I thought about for a while, and I've talked with some people, and not sure if Reckman was there for the discussion at one of the Knights meetings, but
Probably not.
something that might bridge both of your guys' concerns about the Night Circle is making the charter public
Mhm.
in our Capora and having Popos be able to vote on how we determine how we vote. Not like who we vote for, but like the criteria for who votes and for, you know, the system that we use to approve people. That would
The
give the if that makes sense.
That's basically what I was talking about. I just
Yes, but there's a problem with that as far as it being in line with the corpora is then it would be under governing documents, and then as it being a separate entity, it would also have to fall under NPO law because it's officially part of our governing documents. That's
That's
why it is
that's
separate.
fine with me. Honestly, we should be running like
It would
our
have to
meetings
have its own
appropriately.
BOD.
It
It
wouldn't
would
have to have
have
its
to.
own BOD. We'd be a committee underneath the BOD, or the criteria for the committee being being a knight.
All I'm saying is that if it was officially put into the governing documents as an addendum or as its own piece, that then, when we go to make changes, proposals, all that stuff, would have to go in front of all things just like everything else.
Yeah, I think it should go through the regular process. It's kind of radical. It's a big change, but I think it works for other places. I mean, Northern Lights, their charter is in their corpora.
Yes, they also require the circle's approval for the monarch to knight anyone.
Yeah, and we have a
So
history of why we don't do that. So we don't
yes,
have to do that.
their culture is different than ours. And so
It
there's
is.
some things that we can take that, yes, this is a good idea. There's some things that absolutely would not work with the populace that we have because they don't have near the same mentality. And so I see what you're saying with making it official and making it voted on by the populace as this is how we want the Night Circle run. This is who we want to be knights representing us. When you're elevated by the populace, then that's when it means something to be a knight. I think that's what you guys were saying together, right?
sort of,
About
yeah.
3/4, yeah. There's a little bit of nuance here or there, but essentially that's one of the aspects for me.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't like secret clubs.
Right.
That's effectively what we are, and so I tug at that all the time. But
All right,
social
Baelnorn. So what
contract.
we do is we get a megaphone. We just stick it on the table where the Knights meetings happen. And we just shoot it out there. Can't be a private meeting if it's just going out.
Oh,
Well,
Jesus, we'd be lynched. Oh,
Oh
sorry,
I
yeah.
that's
did.
probably the wrong
I
word
don't
to
think the
say.
meetings would be as big of a deal if the Night Circle did anything else beyond it. If the Master Roses would donate time, if the warlords set up classes, if the master smiths taught battle gaming, type things. Like if the Night Circle conglomerated as the Night Circle and did things as the Night Circle, just like fighting companies do with their own shit. I think the business of the meetings would become a moot point. The it would be they would be able to see what it means to be a knight, how a knight is supposed to do XYZ, and it would solve a lot of things if people would get off their laurels and do their fucking jobs.
Yeah. That
It's
would.
been a while since the Night Circle has done anything as a Night Circle, and we've talked about it in the last. It's been 70 years now, Jesus. But I have not. I've not seen it when I've been a knight that our Night Circles work together in Blackspire as a group of doing the things that you're talking about. I've seen it in the past. It's happened. Knights can do it. Groups can do
Yeah,
it. It's fine. So I don't. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying it's really hard
that's
to get
that's
there
my
again.
goal as speaker. If there's a lot of things that I have been stressing out over since I stepped up to this position. If I'm going to do one thing, I want to organize the knights into being more than these punching bags and these idols. I want them to be able to display their skill sets, their tutelage to the people that they want to fucking learn, and give people the avenues to be able to say, oh, that's what this is for. This is what this is about, while it still means something. Who knows what V9 may be? There might be no knights. There might be some version of Amtgard down the line where no one can be special, so let's just get rid of it. Right? So then no one's feelings get hurt. Everyone's
That'd be
cool.
wild.
It's wild, but wild things have happened.
Yeah.
You know, death counts are gone. Could you imagine telling that to someone in V7?
No, not really. If knighthood goes away, that's fine. If it works out better, that's fine.
Yeah. I think positions in this game don't mean anything if you don't give them the weight. And if you do not present yourself in the manner that I don't demand anyone's respect. I want to earn your respect. I'm going to lead by example by doing this and by doing that. I'm not going to, I wear a white belt, therefore you should respect me.
Yeah, it's definitely the wrong attitude.
And, you know, I've hoped that by leading the way that I have and by being the way that I have to people, that, you know, it doesn't always happen that they treat me with that same respect. But, you know, it's the way that knights are perceived, and then the way that I take a look at the knight circle and I see all the things that happen beyond the scope, everything that's behind the scenes, everything that isn't talked about, that makes sure that the kingdom is actually able to remain a kingdom. If populace got to see even a glimpse of what happens, like I said, I think so much of the drama and the stuff would just become non-issues at that point. You know, warlords and battle knights teaching people how to train, you know. The roses that that earned it in the kitchen, you know. Teaching, hey, this is how you don't poison people. This is how you can set up a meal plan. This is how you can divide it up to find out how much it is the cost per plate. You know, be able to divvy up this, and this. You know, there's things that are complex that if we want the campouts that we had back in the day, teach people how to become an autocrat. Teach people what goes into these different positions. You know, just like I've been teaching people how to make scrolls.
Yeah.
Get together with your order, the way that I consider is orders of knights, and show them why you're a knight. Or don't, but I'd rather give people something else to talk about than, you know, not.
Yeah, that could help change the opinion. Um, a lot of the complaints I heard, at least in my local park in Sphere, was the visibility, kind of like what you're talking about, like well, all the knights doing these things, but it's also people didn't understand what the Night Circle did, like
Hmm.
because like I think Cranius mentioned it earlier, like he like didn't really know exactly what happened or what the Night Circle was until he read the charter.
Hmm.
Um, if I'm putting words in your mouth, please tell me. But
No, you're
okay.
right.
So I know that's a lot of the complaints I heard about. So I think that's my larger concern because that is what the concern I've heard most about. So I take the viewpoint that I would like to change that and make it more visible. So, but it's not the only issue with the night circle that there is, and I think you're tackling another image problem that in a different way.
Mhm.
So I think both could work well together
Well, I
in
think
trying
that's
to
also
achieve
it's
the
a circle
yeah.
because we can all work well together. You're seeing as a new night these problems. You seeing from a different perspective potential problems. Me also seeing different. We're all looking at it with different lenses. I've never been to an optometrist and they gave me one magnifying glass. Oh, this it? Is it? Like, no, it takes multiple lenses working together to get a clear picture. Damn, that was a good
That was pretty good.
Here, I will put the mark there. Now look back and see if there's a clip there. I've been doing that the whole time, by the way. Whenever I look over there, I'm probably clipping something.
Oh shit!
Or,
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
Right?
hey, this is going to be a VOD, so no matter what you said, if I clipped it or not, it was going to be here. If it's too
Yeah, but then
spicy,
people would
I'll.
have to go through the whole thing and look for
Oh
it.
shit, that's true. I will talk to you and let you look at the clip before I post them if I think they're too spicy.
Oh no, I actually don't care. You do what you
Okay.
want. I don't. Requiem, did I say anything that would make you dislike me?
No,
All right, cool. We're good then.
Awesome.
no. I'm the one that's on the BOD and Speaker of Nights. Shit.
So it's the next day now. We all have to be at the
Yeah, it
park in
is.
like
Holy
11
cow.
hours.
Yeah,
So we should
We
probably
should
end
definitely
it.
talk tomorrow though, Requiem.
of course. Anytime. Except for during your practice, I'd rather you focus on that.
I'll do my best.
And
Awesome.
let's go ahead and let him do his outro, and then we can
Yeah.
chat for a minute.
Thank you everyone for coming to Baelnorn and Friends. It was a good stream. We ended up going an hour longer than our normal time. It was great. I appreciate everyone that was able to make it. Lord Knox, Nate James, Minerva the money there. Geez.
Nerf of the money.
Joshua, man after my own heart, same name. And yeah, I think that was everyone. If I forgot to thank you for chatting, I apologize. My memory is not the best. And so we will try to come back in July, if time or people permitting, and I will announce it a few days before we go live. But it will be on a Friday. And thank you, and hope you have a wonderful night.
Not everybody.